The Area Truck Series rolls into Charlotte Motor Speedway, America's home for racing, for the second round of the 2023 season. Last week it was running at Daytona, the world center for racing, but this time though, it's into the heart of NASCAR. The Truck Series heads to Charlotte. Welcome aboard, I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn, as always, for the Area Truck Series. Connor, welcome aboard. We're here at this 1.5 mile speedway. Last night, tons of drama in the Cup Series race. 120 laps to contest tonight, though, with the trucks.
Yeah, these trucks are going to race a little bit different. It's going to be a much more different race tonight compared to last night than it was the difference with the races last week. A lot of pack racing yesterday, as we saw. The outside lane was really the only passing lane that was very, very effective, especially on the short run. But I don't think we're going to see that tonight. I think it's going to be a little harder to make a pass, but we should still be pretty tight, maybe in a little bit of a pack, but it shouldn't be as much as we saw last night. It should get wild out there, though. Hopefully not as wild as it was last night.
This racetrack is high banked. It's fast here in the trucks. So, Connor, you say it might not be as wild as last night, but this is a fast racetrack here for the trucks. You're basically on throttle the entire lap for a qualifying run here. So coming into the night, there's going to be a lot of driving that you'd see similar to what we saw last week at Daytona, but this time the walls are a little bit closer and the margins that much smaller.
And the tires are not going to be your friend the entire run through. You're going to probably have to lift on the long run. Dirty air is still going to be a little bit of a thing in these trucks. And you're going to want to be planted to that blue and white line on the very bottom once again. So yes, you're going to be pretty much all out the first 10 laps, but unlike last week, the tire wear is going to take a toll on these trucks, and you're going to have to start lifting and maybe even trailing that brake a little bit into the corner to get the nose of the truck pointed and get it to where you want it to be.
So headed down to the racetrack now, the tail end of practice. Brad Slaughter Jr. currently leads the way in the number 8 truck. Tom Bourne second, Alan Elwood third. Last week's winner, Justin Anasogak, runs 17th. In the late stages of that one, he was able to come out on top, beat out James Scioli and current leader Brad Slaughter Jr. and Tom Bourne. We'll see how things look for him this round here, Connor, but he has already etched his name into the playoffs. He can kind of treat the rest of the season as just a practice round for the tail end, but it's good to keep pushing just to make sure that you can rack up some more wins and still be in contention come playoff time.
Yeah, we always see it in like the top 3 divisions of NASCAR where you get a win, all right, you might test for a little bit because obviously open setup, you test for a little bit, probably don't run as well through the summer, and then you pick it up for the playoffs. That's really not the case with fixed setup. You don't have any reason to test. You do have reason to take risks strategy-wise and just on track-wise, as he practices pit entry, Anasogak does, but you can try stuff that you normally wouldn't if you weren't locked in with a win. But the 88's got the best of both worlds. He's also got that in the Pro Series as well, where he can kind of do whatever he wants strategy-wise and test things out because he is locked in, but he's doing to get all the points you can and try to stay high in those standings.
Mason Kane was 6th last week. Here he is running 4th. Relatively new name. Big slide there out of turn 4 here in practice as he comes on down to pit lane. But some new names making the waves here at the front of the field. We mentioned just now Mason Kane. Carter Koop had a really good run last week at Daytona, but Daytona is probably the least telling of any track to really know the championship contenders. So this will probably give us a bit of a better perspective on who is going to be running up at the front. And Devin Schillingberg, another new name from last week. See him getting in a tangle here in practice, but top 10 so far in practice.
Turn 2 is Calamity Corner a lot of times here. And there comes another one piling in. Hopefully we don't see that. Saw a lot of that last night, and it is still going on. Philip York goes for a little bit of a tumble as well. The flip count should not get above 0, but we will see tonight. But yes, a lot of new names at the front. Schillingberg in the top 10 in practice. Dustin Scruggs is, I believe, a new name. As look at all these drivers spinning. That was Anasogak who went around out of turn number 2. I think we're going to see a lot of trouble out there. We saw it last night where the Cup cars would really shoot up the track on cold tires. So cold tires are definitely trouble in turn 2. But once again, these new drivers, Schillingberg's, Scruggs, I don't know if Philip York's new, but he's also got a really good time up there on the board right now. So a lot of new faces we might be able to see him at the front.
There's Braden Goddard in 35th in the number 38 truck, the Premier Dental Arts Chevrolet Silverado. He runs towards the back of the grid. It is a big grid here, over 40 trucks for our second round of the season, and that means that if you have a poor qualifying run, Connor, you're going to have a long night ahead of you. 120 laps is not a particularly short race, but it's not long enough to take your time moving forward from 35th place. We saw Jake Nichols move up pretty quickly last night from mid-pack, but from the back of the pack, there's also some additional dangers that come with starting back there.
And we saw it last night. I think my teammate Skylar Shackelford got caught up in an incident that happened at the very front with Scioli and Greg Mitchell. So it can happen anywhere in the field early on when everyone's packed up, ready to race and all that. It can happen in an instant. And even if it happens at the front, you got to watch what's behind you because you could get piled into. And we saw that last night in a number of wrecks. It's very difficult to find a place to get away from a wreck, especially on the back straightaway where you really have no room for error.
Cameron Hearn had a horrific night last night, really just could not find his way out of accidents and currently scored down the field here in trucks practice. Jane Therian here in 19th place as you see Goddard go for a loop. Alan Elwood running up towards the front of the mix here in a gorgeous Simrat Market livery. They're our replay sponsor here this season. He's getting his camera set up, looking right on board with him a little bit tonight, but a great looking truck, that number 10 Silverado.
It looked good last week, too, with the Casey Kane throwback for his top 75 announcement, but looking really solid this tonight so far. Almost gives me Scott Riggs vibes, which is never a bad thing as far as paint scheme. And like you said, he's third on the board, and he had a good run going at Daytona, but he got caught up in one of the many, many crashes near the end of that one. So definitely looking fast, definitely looking like a potential contender tonight as we look at all these drivers. I can't believe the amount of drivers spinning off of turn number 2. It might be more treacherous than I thought. That was, I think, Justin Michael who spun.
Yep. And looking at the exit of turn 2, as you brought it up, this is Calamity Corner. It has been that so far tonight. This makes me a little bit worried, but the one thing, the saving grace to this perhaps, Connor, is as the sunset wears on, you see a couple more trucks getting involved in a crash. There's a big one. The track temperature is going to fall. It's going to rubber up a little bit, and then that grip level should come up. But it has been a challenge so far, to say the least.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it, but like you said, we should get more grip in on the exit of 2 as the night falls. Should finish under the lights as we did last night, and it should be a little easier for all these drivers. Cold tires, like I said earlier, could be a product of this as well. As the tires warm up, you'll be much better off out of turn 2. Turn 4 is not as bad, but it does tighten up the exit, but it really doesn't get loose like it does in turn 2 as we switch over to qualifying here in just a moment.
Race fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all Area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise. Head to twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Qualifying about to get underway. The big change for 2023. Connor, one lap. That's all you get. You saw that be the case last week and this week in the Cup Series. How much more importance does that put on qualifying that you only get one and done to set the grid for the race?
Well, for example, this week in the Cup car, cold tires were so bad at turn number 2 that I think a lot of us drivers weren't really ready for it, and we really bombed our laps. I qualified 19th. Jake Nichols was behind me with a bad qualifying effort, and some people just aren't ready for the new rules, especially in the Cup Series after the format we have for Daytona with the duels. Jeremy Miller, my teammate, he completely forgot, and he ran high in turns 3 and 4, and he qualified behind me as well. So a lot of drivers weren't ready for that, and we saw drivers last week in the other 2 series that did do this one lap format weren't ready for it as well, like Brian Chambliss, I believe, in the Pro Series. As we look at Logan Hartman coming out of turn 4, we will hope to see that he's ready for the one lap only.
Off into turn 1, and things happen quickly here because with that one and done, as soon as the drivers complete their first flying lap, that time is going to be the time, whether it exists or not. Hartman at the exit of turn 2. Now down the back straightaway, you'll start seeing times populate when this 96 comes back around. There's a few others on track. Garrett Grant in the 42. Michael Curhan in the 24 is on track. He's out of turn 4 and across the stripe for Curhan. He's starting his first flying lap. Let's go back to Hartman here. And for Hartman, it's going to be a 30.863, and that will put him, for the time being, on top.
I don't think it...
Oh, no, it didn't count.
I don't think it counted. He must have hit the wall somewhere.
Must have got the wall. Garrett Grant up to provisional pole for the time being as everyone else works their way around course. Greg Mitchell, Michael Curhan. Here comes the 24 out of turn 4.
I actually think Hartman's lap didn't count because he cut that AstroTurf a little bit. Here comes Curhan across the line, 30.571. We'll put him for the time being third, as we should see a lot of times jump up there now. Some drivers might be waiting because that little bit of track temp might cool down a little bit, but decent time for the 21, or not for the 21, excuse me, but we'll see if that holds. And here's Greg Mitchell at a turn number 2, just ending his lap at 30.536.
Josh Taylor working his way around course. This is a great looking livery. This is the old Terry Labonte throwback in the Rick's Hot Sauce truck, the number 57 Silverado. Looking the part, that's for sure. We'll talk about Rick's Hot Sauce here a little bit later, but Josh working his way through 3 and 4 on his one and only flying lap.
That would be a combo. Rick's Hot Sauce with some Kellogg's cereal.
I'm sure someone does it. 30-49. Yeah, maybe. And that's going to jump him up to second for the time being. Braden Goddard out of turn 4 on his lap. Here he comes in the 38. Across the stripe, 36.82. That will put him P6 rather.
More drivers out. Shane Theorin across the line, 30.561. So it really looks like a mid to high 30.4 might be what gets you in the top 10 potentially. Cameron Hearns coming out of turn number 4. Rough night last night. See if he can improve. This is his flying lap. Low on the trial to the line, 30.447, and puts him straight to the top of the board.
I am positive we're not done seeing that just yet. Blaine Harrison working his way up onto the back straightaway. Ooh, big slide there out of turn 2, and that's going to slow him up, I'd bet, significantly.
They really want to get the 180 into 3. He hits 178. Can't really get it pointed to the bottom. If you miss the bottom, you're really in trouble because that paint really keeps you gripped up on the very bottom, and if you miss it, you're going to shoot up the track. Harrison crossed the line, 30.767, well off the pole speed. Gary Waterworth put a 32-second lap in. Once again, I think that's a driver who might have forgotten the rules. He has a beautiful scheme as well. We'll have to see that later as Bronson Stafford, Tom Bourne are a number of drivers on their laps.
Another great livery here, the area shop. Number 61 of Bronson Stafford in his Toyota TRD Tundra. TRD Pro Tundra. Dean Thompson, P7. Yeah, I just have to learn the new makes and models, part of the job. There's Bronson Stafford in the Toyota TRD Pro Tundra across the stripe at 34.75. That's good enough for P2.
Tom Bourne just shot to the top of the board, a 30.426, a really solid lap. He was right behind Stafford as far as where they were on track. Really solid lap. That might be hard to beat as well as I think Anna Sogak is on track. Yes, he is. He's out of turn 2.
And
blinking,
and that might actually invalidate his lap time. That would be a bummer to see, but works his way around. Hank Caston up to 7th place in the 36 truck. About, I'd say a little over a third of the field has put down their times with 5 minutes to go. And Anna Sogak, that time through.
Count.
It does, the 34.75. Almost ties Bronson Stafford. He goes third quick.
Just barely faster. Not too many more to go. Sorvin Irvin rolls out now. Just a Michael 30.373. Wow, pole by a half a tenth.
I mean, that's a lot in tonight's qualifying so far. Justin Michael, a really strong run there in qualifying. Danny Ware's on track now. He's in turn 2 in the Simrat Market 49 Silverado. A little bit of counter steer there off the exit of turn 2, though, Connor. That will slow you down. You got to keep this thing pointed like an arrow to make sure you're not wasting any speed on side force.
Yeah, can't swerve on exit. It'll really kill your time. Making his, I believe, his 50th truck start tonight. So joins a few drivers who've been able to do that. Sliding again off of 4. The transition, it almost reminds me of Dover from the banking and the corners to the front and back straightaway. It gets difficult. He puts down a 4.79, though. Still a solid time, puts him 6th.
Carter Coop, 37.82. That'll be a disappointing one for Carter. P20 for the driver that finished 8th last week at Daytona. Travis Beckner's on track. David Weishart, though, is working his way through turns 3 and 4 on his qualifying lap.
Let's see what Weishart can do here. This is his flying lap. Looked really solid through the middle of the corner. 34 flat. Dead on flat, actually. That puts him outside front row for the time being as we go to the 20. Oh, Beckner actually hit the wall. So he's not going to put a time down. He slammed the wall out of turn number 2.
And this is something that we documented in practice being a challenging thing. There's the contact here. How did it set up? Off into turn 1. Trying to carry a lot of speed. Didn't have actually that great of a race last night. At least the first half of it really wasn't in the picture. Ended up on the podium inside the top 5. You see him get loose there and then counter steers, corrects into the outside wall.
Alan Elwood just nearly did the same thing. So another driver who will have to start the back. Elwood actually pushed tight. He didn't really slide. So those are 2 fast drivers in these trucks that are going to have to come from the rears. Edward Shearer Jr. trying to see who's on track. Shearer Jr. is coming out. Irvin's just doing practice laps. He slides out of 2. Bryce Senesac on a lap down the back straightaway.
So here comes Senesac into turn number 3 in the 09 truck. Senesac last week P5 in Daytona. And out of turn 4 on his flying lap. We'll see what this will do for him, Connor. It is going to be a 36.11. That'll only be good enough for 20th.
Yeah, that's a little bit of disappointment there as well. Bobby Tinch comes across the line at 30.978. Another one who will probably not be happy with that, but a good saving grace for all these drivers as Shearer goes into 3 on his hot lap. Saving grace, no one's going home. Only 41 drivers racing at this 1.5 mile track tonight as Shearer a little wiggly out of 4, but he will get the lap in cleanly. 30.567. That should put him 18th.
Eric Wineland winding up here for his run in the decidedly blank-looking number 21. Right on board with him as he starts his flying lap. Was in the booth with us last night. He'll be down on the racetrack this evening in his Ford F-150, one of the few represented in the field. Goes up the racetrack here, Connor. We've seen drivers experiment with different lines, really sideways out of turn 2.
I don't know if he's trying that for speed or he also forgot the 1 lap rule at all. He's
he definitely
didn't. 3 and 4.
He definitely didn't forget it. He of anyone would know, but I think maybe just trying to run higher to avoid having that much wheel in it and keeping it from getting loose. But either way, it's only a 30.625, which is going to be 23rd quick.
Commend him for experimenting. That might be something that works on a short run, but I just don't think that's the Q line. But still better than a few who did run the bottom. Jacob Bell is winding up for his hot lap as Brad Slaughter Jr. is on a lap as he's to the bottom of 3 and 4, using all the track, mind you. See what time the champ puts down. 30.396. That puts him outside pole.
Yeah, that was a really good lap there for Brad Slaughter Jr. Was 3rd best last week at Daytona. Going to try to do 2 spots better tonight. Here's Jacob Bell in the Florida Estate Builders Chevrolet Silverado. Good-looking truck with the blue and green out of turn 4 for Jacob Bell. In the 77 was just shy of winning the area 500. 36.55. Only good enough for 26th place as James Scioli up to 2nd place in the number 7 Rick's Hot Sauce truck.
Yeah, I see a lot of drivers going out late to get the coolest track possible, and Scioli's no different. Ricky Harden was actually coming out of turn 4, but he was sliding out of turn number 4, so he hit the brakes right before the start-finish line to get one more run at it, which I don't think he's going to get, and I don't think he realized how much time he had left. He won't get this time down.
He will not get the time. Qualifying is complete. Justin Michael on pole alongside James Scioli in the number 7. What a front row lineup that is. That is very interesting to say the least. As we get rolling here for our 2nd race of the season, race fans, start your engines with a fresh cup of Roasted Gems coffee. Choose from some of the finest coffee beans from Colombia and Peru, or try the blended flavors of French vanilla and hazelnut. Use discount code Area iRacing for 10% off your order at checkout at roastedgems.com. Time to go racing from Charlotte. 120 laps on the ticker, Connor, as we head down to the racetrack to roll through our Roasted Gems coffee. Starting lineup kicking things off on that front row. It's going to be the aforementioned Justin Michael in his Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. James Scioli 2nd in that number 7.
The 19th different pole winner in Truck Series history. The 87 starts there. Brad Slaughter Jr., the 2-time champ, starts 3rd. Former winner here back in season number 2. And the 4th place, David Weishaupt, who was the most recent winner here at Charlotte.
Starting in row 3, it's Tom Bourne in the number 16, was up inside the top 10 last week at Daytona. Cameron Hearn starts 6th in the number 4, trying to turn around his luck from last night.
The Daytona winner, or the double Daytona winner, I should say, Justin Anasogac in the 88 Silverado, and then alongside him, a really good qualifying run for Bronson Stafford.
And in 9th place, Danny Ware in the number 49 starts 9th. Garrett Grant in the number 42 starts 10th.
The Terry Labonte throwback we mentioned earlier, Josh Taylor in the 57 starts just outside the top 10. Alongside him, the Raycon Tundra of Justin Munsell.
And 13th place, Devin Schillingberg in the number 9. Dustin Scruggs starts 14th in the number 22.
It's a He-Man on Hank Caston's truck. I don't really know cartoons that well, but I think that's who that is. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But he's starting 15th regardless. Mason Kane, who's been impressive to start the season, 16th place.
17th place is Greg Mitchell in the number 2 Ford F-150. JT Poole, another Ford, rolls off 18th place.
Trekon Garage driver in the actual Truck Series, Dean Thompson, 19th, who had a rough pace lap in the Cup race yesterday. He starts alongside Jay Therian in the Silverado, number 83.
21st place, Edward Shearer Jr. in the number 51. Michael Curhan starts 22nd in the 24 truck.
Aiden Roberson in the in the 53 truck, and alongside him, 24th place Bryce Senesac.
And behind them, 25th, Eric Wineland in the number 21. We'll probably talk with him a little bit later. Jacob Bell starts 26th in the number 77.
38 of Braden Goddard, who had some trouble in practice. He starts 27th. Ryan Swan in the one machine. He will start 28th.
29th place is going to be Blaine Harrison in the number 66. Carter Coop starts 30th in the number 52.
The last few on time, Bobby Tinch in the 54 Silverado. Alongside him, the 12 of Gary Waterworth in a beautiful scheme. Almost like a Kyle Busch throwback on the 12 truck.
Looking good there as we roll back to Alan Elwood. He starts 33rd in the number 10. Didn't get a time. Neither did Travis Beckner, the 2022 Area 500 winner, starts 34th.
Rolling backwards, they're going downhill a little bit. 35th place, Ricky Harden, who did not get a time down in time, although he tried to. And then the 25 truck of Dylan Lee, who looked good before the big one was caused. He starts 36th.
37th is Philip York in the number 97. Paul Swerven Irvin starts 38th in the number 3.
And then 39th and 40th, Charles Canida, the 43, 39th. Carter Hayden in the 99 Toyota Tundra P40.
And rounding out the last driver on the grid is going to be Logan Hartman in the number 96. Connor, early, I know, in the season and in the night, but pick me a driver that'll win this. Oh, there's a crash. The 66 is around. Blaine Harrison on the pace lap is turned around, and we'll go back and look at that when we get another chance and moment to. But up front, Connor, pick me a winner for this race. Certainly doesn't look like the 66 will be on that list.
Oh my gosh, we saw a lot of crashes under yellow last night, but I'm going to go Brad Slaughter Jr. He's won here in the past. It just seems like a race where he can outlast the competition. I guess you got to guess pretty quickly, or choose pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the, let's go with David Weishart in that 29. I like where he's starting. I like how he runs. Let's kick things off here from Charlotte. Round number 2 of the Area Truck Series in 2023. We're underway, and the field's stacking up already as we head down towards turn 1, Connor.
Well, that was really weird. Justin Michael just didn't go at all. Sciola's going to get out the lead. Weishart's already second. I don't know if Michael was thinking he had to wait until the line or what, but he did not go when a green flag flew.
And already dropping down the order to 4th place, maybe even 5th place. We're 3 wide here. Brad Slaughter Jr. on the bottom, Cameron Hearn on the outside, and Justin Michael has to lift and fall back in line here, as it's pretty frantic on the start. We were expecting that, Connor.
Well, it was frantic before we even got to the start, but Michael definitely made sure the field was a little bit stacked, and unfortunately for him, after a really good qualifying effort, he's already back to outside the top 5 completely. As we get single file up at the front for a moment, Slaughter Jr., Cameron Hearn, they're right close to each other as they're single file all the way through the top 7.
The moments in the Cup race last night, they started frantic and they just did not dissipate. I wonder if we'll see a similar situation here tonight. We don't have as much power. We do have a little bit of downforce to play with.
Got a car in the AstroTurf in the back. Charles Canida, who is almost at the back of the field, but he saves it. All good there.
Have a look. It's on the outside of the 96 of Hartman right there. They come together. Good save.
Yeah, really solid save. That's what the AstroTurf is there for. Even if you get 4 tires off the ground like I did last night, it can help you. Certainly help the 43 avoid disasters. Side by side, I believe for maybe the 8th position, Justin Munsell looking to climb up the order.
Munsell in the number 6. Right on board with him tonight and kind of get his perspective on things in that number 6 Toyota TRD Tundra as he rides alongside Justin Michael, the pole sitter, who's gone backwards pretty quickly. Justin Anisogak in the 88's just behind.
Anisogak back a few spots from 7th to 9th as their star about, spinner in the back. No save. Sorry about that, but that was close. Trying to see who that was. Maybe Aiden Roberson, but they're still trying to scramble. I think that's Dustin Lee and Dylan Lee. I keep calling him Dustin Dylan Lee in the middle. They're just trying to sort it out after that.
Let's go back and see. It was 53 up the racetrack there for sure, but was having some continuity issues as well. That was, I think, helping that. Braden Goddard goes for a slide. That was very dicey and tight.
Already, you can see the tires are not really up to temperature. He's got some right front damage as well. I think that might have been a product of hitting the paint at a bad spot on the bottom of the corner. It's good for gripping up, but if you hit it wrong, you're going to go sliding. Look
how focused he is right now. He's got the tongue hanging out, just trying to keep this truck under control. And now he's got drivers to his inside. It is frantic back here, and this is for 33rd.
Yeah, it's frantic all the way through the field. You got a number of drivers already with slight damage. Even Dean Thompson has some front-end damage, probably because of a stack up on the initial start. He's in 20th trying to make some ground up, but all calm at the front for the time being. The top three have broken away. Scioli, Weishart, Cameron Hearn all on their own, while Garrett Grant and Tom Bourne battle for fourth.
And Dean Thompson, you mentioned him, a little bit of damage to that number 5. In 19th place, though, started 22nd. Or started 19th rather, it fell as low as 22nd, but has resurged up to 19th and is using that outside lane, which we saw be pretty successful in the Cup Series race last night to make moves.
A lot of draft and a lot of bump drafting involved in the Cup cars. I don't think you'll see much of that tonight, not without potential heartbreak, but you can definitely be aggressive up there, but it will bite you if you get a long run. But Dean Thompson doesn't care about that. He's making moves, and you kind of have no choice if you're back here to try to make those moves to the top, because you're not going to get by a lot of people on the bottom, and they can just pinch you down.
Jacob Bell slots back into 22nd place behind Schillingberg, Scherer, and Michael Curhan in the number 24. Curhan, another driver that we should be able to ride on board with a little bit tonight, so we will do just that. On the bottom of 51 and chasing that 5 of Dean Thompson.
Trying to follow Thompson through, most likely, as wow, Thompson gets to the bottom, almost gets in the back of JT Poole there, as he's going to pull to the right rear, try to get as much side draft as possible. Really just trying to get by the 26 here. Almost looks like he's struggling on the bottom to make any speed as they line up on the outside to have a turn at trying to pass him. Scherer Jr., Curhan, Schillingberg, number of drivers here.
Pretty busy back here.
Oh yeah.
They haven't sorted themselves out quite like the leaders have. I think we expected the line to kind of sort out at the front, and it has for the most part. James Scioli leads the way by 0.3 of a second over David Weishart, Cameron Hearn, Tom Bourne, and Garrett Grant. A lot of familiar names up front. Munsell Slaughter and Sogak Ware, and then pole sitter Justin Michael. Going back to that race start, Connor, he just did not go, and it cost him a lot of spots.
Yeah, it did. I'm not sure if the green flew to his surprise, or maybe he went early and then the green triggered, but a really odd situation. Not something you usually see on the initial start, but we saw last night we had some issues on some starts and restarts, so no different tonight quite yet, and it caused some damage through the field. You can look at Tom Bourne in 4th place. He has a decent amount of front-end damage.
Ryan Swan bounced off the back straightaway wall and got very sideways with other trucks just around him, but managed to keep it all straight. Travis Beckner, as he did last night, trying to go forward in that number 28, and he has done that so far. He's up about 10 spots from where he started this race in 34th.
3 wide behind, Caston, Elwood, and Wineland. Wineland wisely backs out. Beckner gets to the bottom where you really want to be if you're not having to pass someone, following Jacob Bell, trying to get by the one of Swan who's damaged, as it looks like these guys are finally trying to sort it out a little bit. It's really single file through the entire top 15, 16. Then Dean Thompson is really the lone guy up here, still trying to make that top line work, as well as Alan Elwood. Oh, whoa, whoa. Almost had a crash. I don't know who it was. Maybe the 57 and 22, but there was a stack up out of turn 2, and we're already back-to-back racing.
Oh, boy. It's how quickly things shift and shuffle. There it is. There's the slide. I think it was the 22, maybe? No, that was the 31 of Mason Kane that went for a big slide. And while all this, we're looking at a replay, it's not pull away, because up front, the battle for the lead is on here. Scioli's gotten run down, and Cameron Hearn has joined the party.
Yeah, that was off the bumper of Bronson Stafford is why he went around. But yes, the top 3 are right together, almost drafting a little bit to get away from the rest of the field, which is never a bad thing to get away from the chaos. But these 3 all on top of each other, as Tom Bourne's trying to join the fight. That damage could be hurting him, but these 3 under a blanket for the time being. We're still an absolute madhouse after that checkup, 21st place on back.
Yeah, Dustin Scruggs down on the apron. He's coming to pit lane, has big-time front-end damage from that stack up here.
Wondering if he has engine trouble because of that. We see that a lot.
Yeah, it could be. Here comes Cameron Hearn looking for second place on David Weishart.
See how hard Weishart wants to be on the top line fighting this. He's going to definitely try to keep the 4 truck behind him, which he does successfully. So keep Weishart in that 2nd spot. Also side by side, Munsell, Brad Slaughter Jr., that's for 6th. Slaughter Jr.'s trying to get it done on the top side.
Was that Slaughter that almost got in the wall?
It was pretty close. I'm not sure.
That was it was an F-150.
Oh, there's another one. That was a Toyota.
And for second place again. Actually, this is for 4th, Tom Bourne and Garrett Grant.
Yeah, see, I don't know how much that damage is really affecting the 16, but certainly not letting him get up to the front 3 and Grant doesn't have enough of a run out of 4 to do anything, so he just tucks back in. About a 10th slower than the leaders, these two right now.
Looking off laps here early in the going at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Area Truck Series. No caution so far, but we did have an incident on the pace lap. Let's go back and look at what happened there before we even went green. And like he was just getting lined up here and
he checks up,
locks
he
the
just
rear
goes
brakes.
around.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a big hit, but it has not taken him out of a race, although he is running 37th place, down 8 spots. I think that's 7 from where he started. We saw that happen. Dean Thompson did that literally last night and was out of the race before it even started.
It's easier to do that. It's easier to do that than you might think. The rear brakes in particular, when the tires are cold, Connor, you know that if you get caught a little bit off guard and you get a little bit too much brake pressure, those rear tires will start bouncing, get a little wheel hop, and then you're going to be around before you even know it. The trick is to not have to slam the brakes on the pace lap.
Yeah, you got to be aware of what's going on when the checkup's happening. It would be nice if someone called it out, but shouldn't need to call it out. You just got to be ready to have to slow down the pace speed because you're not going to be speeding up to the pack forever. So odd that happened, but at least it didn't take out more trucks than it really could have because that was in the middle of the field.
On board now with Michael Curhan battling Dean Thompson and Devin Schillingberg. This continues to be a pretty scrappy fight here. And Travis Beckner continues to move forward, up 14 spots now into 20th place. Jacob Bell right behind, and then Alan Elwood on his upward climb. Wineland and Hank Kasten.
Garrett Grant gets to 4th. He just passed Tom Bourne, but yeah, they have not sorted this out, and it's really because of Dean Thompson just absolutely hanging on the door of Schillingberg. He is hanging on the top line. He's been there really since the race started. And look how hard he's pinching. Schillingberg hit the apron, slid up in front of the 5 of Thompson as they are scrapping right now. Dean Thompson is not willing to give it up. He wants by.
Not willing to give an inch. And Thompson, actually, I'm impressed that he was able to cling on when the 9 slipped up the track at the exit of turn 2, but now Schillingberg clears and opens the path for Curhan on the bottom. Jacob Bell going to follow, and now Beckner's going to have to figure out how to dispatch the number 5. Go high, go low, go in the middle.
I'd say neither.
Or too slow.
Not necessarily. I think Dean's going to start falling off. I do think Schillingberg's holding up a few of these guys, but I'm not sure who's actually faster in this pack. I think Thompson's going to start to fall off. I think Beckner and Elwood can do something. Curhan's just following through. So it's as soon as one driver gets by this 9 and opens a gap up, they might start to maybe catch back to the rear of the 09 of Bryce Senesac, who's pulling away. But it's a scrap right now. Thompson gets to the bottom, gives a bump to the 24 of Curhan.
Yeah, it's getting scrappy for sure between this group. Up front, still about a 2/10 lead for Scioli over Weisdorf, but the battle is for 18th place of all places. Bell and that JT Poole are the only drivers left on the bottom in this fight, at Eric Wineland.
And Kasten as well. Waterworth just watching this all happen and starting to see Tom Bourne. That damage might finally start to be hurting him more than it was. He's slipping back even more. He's back to make that 7th. Brad Slaughter gets by him. Anna Sogak, Danny Ware, Justin Michael, who's all the way back to 10th. They're starting to reel him in as well. But these guys are really going at it. 99 cars pitting. Their 99 truck. He has damage. He's 37th. No worry there. But if I will bet money if there's a wreck, it's from here, Kyle.
Yeah, working lap 22, and like we saw last night, some of the battles just never fizzled after the drop of the green flag. So it continues to be a pretty fierce fight here. Up front, the first 3 have just checked out. They're in their own zip code right now, and sending the mail behind them is Garrett Grant and Justin Munsell, 4th and 5th. Slight gap back to Brad Slaughter Jr. than Bourne, and Sogak, Michael, and Ware, the rest of the top 10.
They're looking 3 wide back there. They thought better of it. JT Poole was looking low of the 5. Beckner's going to power around the outside. That 5's really starting to show the tire wear from being up there. As Beckner's by, here comes Elwood to get a run by, and JT Poole's just stuck in behind.
Yeah, Beckner, that climb continues there. The 5 checks up the bottom lane. Where do you go if you're Wineland at this stage?
Wait for the 26 to make the move, I would say. Or just wait for everyone else to pass Dean on the top line, contact with Hank Kasten there, and then just fly on the outside. But the 5 is starting to really fade here, and it's really holding up a lot of these guys.
Ooh, a little bit of touch there between Gary Waterworth and Thompson. Just a slight door contact there as Wineland watches from behind.
You can tell the Team Thompson just can't rotate. Here comes JT Poole. He'll jump to the outside 3 wide, but make that 2 wide because they are clear. Oh, more contact. Thompson gets doored down the track. Him and Poole have hit a few times now, but they get clear for the time being.
And Greg Mitchell, number 2. Behind all of this is Philip York joins the party there. Greg Mitchell, I don't remember him starting this far back, and it's because he didn't. Fell from 17th to 31st and has now picked up a couple of spots since then, but has really gone the wrong direction. As this battle for the lead is fizzled, but the battle for second and the one for fourth behind are alight.
Yeah, Mitchell got that damage from that stack up, as a number of people did, but yeah, these battles are really starting to heat up, and Tom Bourne continues to fade with his damage sustained on the initial start. He's back to, I believe, that would be 8th place as the pole sitter Justin Michael gets back up a few spots.
Yeah, actually, I'm surprised Justin Michael didn't keep sliding backwards. It didn't look like he had the pace, but almost all those positions were lost right at the start. So he's actually finding his way back towards the front. We know he's quick. Single truck pace at least put him on pole. It just didn't really last very long up there on that opening lap. But now finding his footing and kind of running middle to top group. Let's go back to Mason Kane and Michael Curhan trading spots here, as that's for 16th place.
These drivers better be careful, or excuse me, the leaders better be careful. We're already getting in a little bit of lap traffic. Dylan Lee's not too far up the road. Then Charles Canita, who had a half spin. And they might catch a few more drivers even before pit stops, but everything's starting to sort of fade a little bit. Only took 25 to 30 laps, but really single file through the entire field finally.
Yeah, it gives everyone a chance to breathe for a second, although there's still battles to be had around the racetrack. But you mentioned pit stops here. We're probably, 20, 30 laps away from those being a reality. Truck in the wall. Carter Coop up high, scrapes the fence, and he'll get out of it, but that was a scary moment.
I think he got worried about Carter Hayden coming out of the pits in the racing line. Hayden rejoined, I think, fine, but I think the 52 just spooked by him missing the bottom. See right there, just scrapes the wall. It shouldn't be too much damage, but it never helps when you scrape the wall like that. He's back to about 34th now after that.
Yeah, getting spooked is a real thing, Connor, because you turn into the corner, you don't really have a lot of choice to unwind the wheel and then wind it back again. Once you make that move to the right, you're going to go up the hill either way. And so once he made that juke to avoid that truck, at least in the perception that he needed to avoid that truck, went up the hill, and at that point, you're along for the ride.
Yeah, if you really try to jerk it back down after turning right, you're going to probably spin yourself. So not much you could do there, as Senesac loses the 15th position. That's Michael Curhan, who continues to move up, now up 7 spots from where he started. Senesac himself is up 8 spots himself. A number of drivers who have driven through the field already. Edward Shearer is up 9. That might turn into 10. He's actually trying to pass Shane Therian, who's running the top right now, trying to make a groove up there, but it's not working. Put the 51 up 1 more spot.
Nice little crossover move here. Gets in the throttle a little sooner. You see him gain that time back. But I don't think it'll be enough. He'll probably settle in behind the 51 now as we eclipse lap number 30. Make our way about 1/4 of the way through this race already. And we're clicking away laps pretty quickly, Connor. No yellows so far. We've been close a couple of times. But we know how they tend to go, is once you open those floodgates, it'll be an interesting race to follow from there on out. But so far, Scioli has been the dominant force in this race. We've had 31 laps completed. He has led all 31.
He's led all 31, and for the most part, all the front runners have been on the bottom for all 31. But I'm starting to see a few drivers try to venture up to the top and see something. Top 3 are all on the bottom. Brad Slaughter Jr. is the first one I'm really seeing trying to make something happen in that top line, but that time by, he kind of cut it down, almost diamonding the corner. He's in 6th. He's gone up, he's actually gone backwards from 3rd starting position, but he's just trying to make something happen up there, especially in 1 and 2. Look how high he runs up there. Him and Justin Michael trying to work that out.
Josh Taylor and Michael Curhan fighting for 14th place. Taylor going backwards, Curhan going forwards, and they're going to trade positions now, move the 24 up to 14th.
Yeah, 57 is fading a little bit. Started pretty well, got a few positions at the start, but now back to the 15th position, and look at all the trucks that are lining up to have a shot at them. There's almost another pack forming again. Senesac, Caston, Poole, Mason Kane, all trying to run through the field.
Oh, truck in the wall, turn 1. Who hit that hard?
Trying to see, don't know who that was.
31 of Mason Kane again? Somebody hit it pretty good down there in turn 1.
Is it the entrance? Yes, it was Mason Kane.
Watch this 31 right there. He kind of gets squeezed over. You're right on board here. He's got, I think that's the 36 ahead of him of Hank Cassidy. He's going to get it's
JT Poole.
JT Poole, the 26 on the inside. And he's got this outside groove, and then the 26 is going to fade over clear, and he just kind of runs out of racetrack. He didn't really get squeezed. He was clear, but I think he thought he still had that truck to his inside and left a little too much space.
Yeah, he was just worried that they weren't clear. He wasn't fully sure, so he probably lifted and tried to jump out of it. He almost doored Alan Elwood, but yeah, that can't really put blame on either driver. Just Mason Kane being a little bit too cautious. Another truck damage, and we'll see how that affects him the rest of the night. As looking up at the lead, just trying a quick look. Scioli is checking out. It's now a 1 second lead over Cameron Hearn, David Weishart, and they're stacking up fourth on back. Garrett Grant, Justin Munsell, Brad Slaughter Jr. all on top of each other.
On board with Alan Elwood, 33rd, 21st. As you mentioned, that stack up growing up inside the top 10. And now it's game on here. Brad Slaughter Jr., Justin Munsell, and Justin Michaels just in the rear view here.
And Michael, he went back to sixth after one lap. So really, if you discount the first lap, he's only lost a spot. He's been climbing back from where he did fall back to, as Tom Bourne, Danny Ware battling there. But just looking to see what happens with this 8 truck. He's really the only one I'm seeing do that frequently on the top in 1 and 2. He's getting good runs doing it. Look at the run he's got at Garrett Grant. He'll shoot to the bottom and take a look into turn number 3.
He'll pull even with the 42 and almost finishes slipping on by, but Garrett throttles back up. That F-150 will carry some speed to the outside. His teammate Cameron Hearn up in second place. Taking the blue ovals nearer and nearer to the front. And now Garrett Grant completes that pass. We jump back this battle, Bronson Stafford and JT Poole into turn 1, all right behind Hank Cassidy.
Brad Slaughter Jr. completing that pass, but yes, another battle back here, 15th on back. They've been scrapping tonight, all 38 of these ones, as Poole and Stafford go side by side. Poole's kind of held serve. Bronson Stafford has fallen back a little bit as well, as there's also scrapping behind him.
And
Taylor.
Pit stops for Brad Slaughter Jr. and David Watt. No trouble for the 8. I don't know if he was trying to hit pit lane, but he has crashed out of turn 4. And he was coming down here, Connor, but slipped.
Transition put him out of control. I don't think he actually hit anything, but he's going to lose a lot of time. He wasn't the only one to pit. Mason Kane came in. Bobby Tinch as well. I think we might see more come in. It's definitely a sign. Definitely a sign that I was going to question if we could make it to 60. Cautions out right before the leaders hit pit lane, and Scioli and Cameron Hearn are trapped because of that.
Oh boy, there is Gary Waterworth in the number 12 on the back straightaway. That truck torn up. The pit stop started right at the 1/3 mark of this race, Connor. Mathematically split it in 3 segments. But caution is going to create a whole bunch of chaos in light of that. Let's have a look at what happened to the 12.
Yeah, that's really going to hurt Scioli and Hearn. They could not exit entry. So here we come. Ooh. Oh, Taylor in the wall. And Jacob Bell had nowhere to go to avoid Waterworth checking up. And that is a hard hit into turn 2, safer barrier. Yeah,
kind of got a feel for the 12 here. He didn't really have much he could do about that. Unless he had known that the 57 was going to check up that hard. But the trajectory changes so late, Connor. There's not really a lot he could have done.
Yeah, you could tell that we saw the 57 dropping back. The right front was gone. You could see he's solidly on the bottom, and all of a sudden it shoots up in front of Waterworth. He's in the wall, but Bell's not expecting that. He has no time to.
No, just a racing incident there in my eyes, but it is going to definitely make the pit sequence interesting as the rest of the field comes down pit road, Connor.
And that's going to change the race for a few of these drivers. Scioli and Hearn are trapped. They did not come down and put tires on, so they are still on the lead lap, but they're going to be absolutely down the order on track position now, as David Weishart did come down pit lane. He's going to have to take the wave around. Brad Slaughter Jr. as well. Might save Slaughter a little bit, as Garrett Grant is going to be the leader after all that.
David Weishart getting prepared for the restart here in just a moment. But race off pit lane, Garrett Grant is your leader. Justin Michael back up to second place. Bit of a break for the 87, I'd say. Then Danny Ware, Tom Bourne, and Edward Scherer Jr.
Yeah, a break for a lot of the guys who didn't pit, especially Bourne, Scherer, and Asogak. A lot of new players we're going to have at the front of this one, while the guys who did pit and were at the front are going to have to recover through all that. So it should be another mad scramble, 20th on back like we saw earlier.
Race fans, be sure to visit simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway and SimTV. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn as always for the Tuesday Night Truck Series action. So far, clean and green up until lap number 40. Gary Waterworth caught up in a collision on the backstretch, brings out a caution right in the middle, or right at the start of a pit cycle. It's going to shuffle back leader James Scioli to 22nd place, along with Cameron Hearn and others. Connor, this is a bit of a reset, though. 80 laps to go now. One more pit stop to the end, and you're good to go.
Yeah, it's really, it hasn't changed the strategy too much. You're still going to split it. This time it's going to be in halves because of the yellow, so we should see cautions again at around lap 80. Or excuse me, we should see pit stops at lap 80, and we got to be careful if we get another crash.
Yeah, and I think you said it accidentally, but I think it still bears mentioning that pit stops and pit road sequences often draw yellow flags because things start to get chaotic after having ordered for so long. So, that's kind of the caution clock at some tracks that are tricky to get down to pit lane is that process. We saw it catch out Brad Slaughter Jr. and the 8 in particular, despite, being in a pretty good spot because he was up front running. That slip on pit lane and then the subsequent caution has buried him in 34th place.
Yeah, I believe he was going to be back there anyways, but at least he did save a race truck after not hitting the walls entering pit road, because it's a skinny pit road. There's a wall there now, mainly because of the Roval running there. They have that sort of half wall there between the track and pit road, so he could have easily hit one of those walls, and fortunately didn't, but regardless of that, he will still be buried down the order even further than the 7 and the 4 will be, as well as David Weissar. He was running 3rd. He's also going to be in the same boat. He's back in 32nd.
So this time through, the lights on the safety truck are going to turn off. That means that we're going to head around to take the green flag in 1 lap time. A lot of wave arounds hitting their laps back here, and led by Braden Goddard in the number 38, Jacob Bell, David Weishart, and more.
This will put Garrett Grant to the race lead. I believe area leading 157 starts, so he's got a few wins. He's in a good spot to get another one after all that happened. He was pretty fast on the long run, but lost touch of a top 3 early. A whole new ball game, though, as he's going to be at the front here.
And track position, I don't want to say it's been hard to get. I'd say that we've seen drivers drive through the field. Alan Elwood is an example of that, coming from a long ways back. Same with Travis Beckner in the 28. But up front, we have not quite seen the mobility that drivers that started towards the rear have seen. You get closer and closer to the front, they get harder and harder to pass. So Garrett Grant got to take this opportunity and run with it while the 7 and the 4 are buried. Get yourself ahead on strategy, get yourself ahead on pace, and hope that this is a long green flag run that might keep those other drivers battling for position for a long time to come.
Yeah, we're definitely going to we're going to see how important it is to get track position with Scioli, Weishart, and others back there. It's going to be a scramble. They're 27th and 27th on back, so it should get wild.
Pace trucks off, back to green flag racing, lap 44 of 120 in the Area Truck Series from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Inside lane is the lead lane. Green flag back in the air. Garrett Grant fires it up. Last night we saw a handful of checkups on the restarts and some cautions on the restarts. So far, so good into turn 1.
Born up the track, struggling on the restart, and a Sogak to the bottom. Charles Canita's out of the race. He's, I think, the only retirement right now. Big block by Garrett Grant. Michael's going even lower. That is dicey to do lap 44, but Michael forces his way to the bottom and to the race lead.
Justin Michael regains the lead. So far,
crash turn 3.
And
who is in there? I think Cameron Hearn's in there.
Yeah, he is.
Yes, he is. Wow.
Well, we said the floodgates would open, Connor, and I think they are beginning to do so. Let's have a look.
And that's what it happened in front of him. The 9 went around, and Hearn had nowhere to go. 1-2 slams the wall.
The 9 get hit from behind. Yeah, the 53 just tags him. Scioli dodged that by a millimeter. Then the 1 of Ryan Swan in there, and then that's where they get into that mix. You see that 22 up in the fence.
Jacob Bell did a good job too. See right here, you can see right there, just a tiny tap. He definitely hit him, but it was so slight. Usually Cameron Hearn just ran out of race track to do anything. The luck does not get better for Cameron Hearn this week so far. Look at Scioli. Wow, he was really trying to squeeze a hole there.
I wonder if that almost had the 53 look in the mirror, then he when they got to the corner, by the time he looked up, it was already happening behind him. But you're right, that Ford truck has just had a week to forget at Charlotte so far.
I think you're right, Lois. Scioli was really trying to force the issue 3 wide. He almost forced the 53 of Roberson to force it to the bottom, so Scioli didn't put him 3 wide, and it kind of led to him having the contact with the 9 of Schillingberg, and definitely could have played a factor. Definitely nothing Scioli really did wrong, just that's kind of what you have to do. He was at least fortunate enough to get around that after accidentally getting caught pitting with the lights on. But unfortunately, Cameron Hearn did not, as got more pit stops. Those are drivers at the back. Swan comes in. Waterworth is drivers who are damaged.
Dylan Lee gets his lap back. He will the free pass this time through. As we just were under caution, so we're going to jump to break for a moment. We'll be back for the restart here from the Area Truck Series, here from Charlotte. We'll be right back. Back live for the Area Truck Series here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's been an interesting one so far. Green flag racing all the way to lap 40, a caution during a pit cycle, a restart, and then a quick caution again, this time for a crash out of turn number 4. Race fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. Caution up for the second time today, Connor. Welcome back. Been an interesting one as of late. A couple cautions slowing us down.
Yeah, we're going pretty orderly for the time being after everyone got sorted out, but as the leaders started to pit, Calamity Stroke with the 57. Unfortunately, that Rick's Hot Sauce Silverado got in an incident, or actually it was not. It was a similar Kellogg's throwback. It was actually Waterworth, as we'll see that this is a pass for the race lead unless the market replay that we didn't really get a look at. This was Garrett Grant blocking all the way to the apron. I didn't notice that at first. Justin Michael actually got into the back of him to get him back up the racetrack. Very dicey moment and a very aggressive move for the lead on lap 44.
Yeah, big block there by Garrett Grant to try to hold it off. There was some contact there, but he could not hold off Justin Michael, who goes to the lead. Where he started this race, wasn't able to hang on to it at the initial green flag, but he is definitely working for it now and is back out front here, lap 48 of 120. We're about 12 laps from halfway here, 40 minutes of racing to go. And the drivers that led the vast majority of the early part, James Scioli and Cameron Hearn, buried now. Hearn with issues. Go ahead, Connor.
We had another incident under yellow. Weishart's destroyed. There was a big stack up in turn 1. Look at the front end of a 29.
Oh, man.
Well, it happened. We had incidents under yellow last night, too. They can't pace around here, apparently.
Yeah, let's go back and see where he picks us up. This is entering turn number 1 here. The 77 right there.
Just stack up, and he couldn't react. That's at least the second time we've seen that. We'll go back to green, but that's what happens when you get unfortunate breaks. Now Weishart's day is pretty much destroyed as we go back green. Justin Michael leads him down.
Green flag back in the air, back underway from Charlotte. Michael sprints away, leaves Garrett Grant in the dust behind him to battle. Danny Ware in the 49 truck, the Simrat Market Silverado jumps to second place.
And the 42 jumps up the track, got really sideways trying to put the power down, so he'll fall back all the way to fourth behind Edward Shearer Jr. And Anna Sogak, Tom Bourne stay side by side.
Well, Michael didn't have to defend like the 42 did to him on the prior restart. But Danny Ware up into second place, a strong restart for him as the field behind gets pretty excited to race. And the 10, by the way, Alan Elwood finally inside the top 10 after starting at the tail of the field with a failed qualifying run.
Getting really tight with Hank Casson there. Hank Casson's having a really solid run tonight, but that 10 just looking extra racy now as he gets another position. No, Casson fires it to the bottom to try to stay under as they're 3 wide in the back with numerous drivers back there. Slaughter Jr. trying to fight his way back. Greg Mitchell, Josh Taylor, contact Bell, and they're bouncing off one another. Spinning is the Fit 97, Philip York. Bell's gonna spin. No caution yet, but there's a wreck on track. Caution's out. Braden Goddard and Cameron Hearn in another crash. You have got to be kidding me.
Goddard torn up in this one, and another crash on the front straightaway. Let's see, where did that all start?
That was started with Jacob Bell, I believe. Someone bounced off the 77. That's going to take, that's going to take Jacob Bell out of this race, I think. Was watching this 3 wide. Josh Taylor up at the top. I think he's going to, might have tapped the wall down in the Bell. And that's really what kicked this off.
Oh, Cameron Hearn again.
This is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable.
I mean, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all.
That's one way to put it. He went into the back of Caston and just could not keep control. And Goddard had nowhere to go there as well.
And he did everything. Goddard, as soon as he saw the truck sideways, he was on the brakes, but the truck will turn or it will stop, and it will not do both. And he ended up getting turned around from contact.
That's wild. Blaine Harrison, I think, did a pretty solid job getting through all that somehow. What a wild sequence for her. My goodness. A lot of trucks caught up in this one. It's almost deceiving. You think you have nowhere to go, but you do have that AstroTurf down there to try to avoid, but they went spinning into the pit road, too.
Watch Bobby Tinch in the 54. Blue and red truck here. Gonna get hit from behind by Cameron Hearn. Goes into the grass, gets tagged.
Oh, man.
And what a wild ride he went on.
Oh, still not done. Ooh, tapped the, I think, tire barrier down there, but I think he gets away with what could have been terrible.
I'll consider that a successful crash.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, look, a lot of hard hits there. 97 just touches him. He also gets air, which doesn't help, and he's still trying to hang onto it over the Roval curbs. He's able to avoid. It's the second person to go through that part of the grass, I think, this week.
That turf has been used and abused this week.
They color it green, but I think it's going to be completely marked with tire marks by the end of the week. Might as well have another groove, excuse me.
Lap 53 of 120. We might as well continue to work our way down the list here. Race fans, be sure to check out shop.areairacing.com for merchandise to represent your favorite drivers and teams. Shop from our brand new selections of Champion t-shirts, jackets, hats, and more. Easier to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. That's the shop.areairacing.com promise. Shop.areairacing.com. If you're watching on Twitch, make sure to give twitch.tv/areairacing a follow. If you're here on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to SimTV for all the action. If you'd like to follow along, live timing and scoring is always available. SimTVBroadcasting.com. Lights will stay ablaze this time, so 2 laps until green. And predictions to the tail end of this race, Connor, is this the midnight nightmares that will go away, or do you think this will be a trend that continues and it'll be survival of the fittest from here on out?
I still feel like we're going to have a rough ending to this one, unfortunately, but I think this is where we get a little bit of green flag run. But I can't confirm that we're going to get to green flag pit stops. Everyone needs one more pit stop. Can't make it even if you pit now, I believe, but we should get at least one more decent run in. Hopefully it's only one run to the end, but with how it's going right now, you just never know. You have so many drivers back there trying to make something happen on lap 54, as that's kind of what's caused the last 2 wrecks a little bit, just a little bit of over aggression, so hopefully they can calm down.
Last night we saw some pretty big green flag stints and then groups of cautions, and so far tonight our yellow flags have all basically been one right after the other. Justin Michael, though, doesn't mind seeing these caution laps because he's just padding the laps led stat at this stage, although still has a ways to go before he catches up to the number 7, who has led most laps so far tonight. That stands at 38 of the 53 that we've completed.
Back to 17th, which is solid, but still a ways to go, and he has the laps to do it for sure. He's got some fast drivers ahead of him as well. I think really Scioli and Brad Slaughter Jr. are the only ones to really survive after having that having bad luck on the pit stops in a yellow falling. I think they're the only 2 to survive. The 4 has been involved in 2 incidents now. Shane Therian's good, but he was borderline top 10. And David Weishart gets his race kind of destroyed under yellow. Front end's looking better, but definitely not good. As Eric Wineland, another driver who's been trying to, a little bit of a struggle he's had tonight, but he is up to 9th through all of this, at least with the clean race truck. Not many people can say they have a clean race truck. Little dinged at the rear, actually, but that's nothing.
Taking him a while to move forward, but has done that. It's inside the top 10 now, and you see him jovially chatting away. Alan Elwood also chatting and smiling here as they get prepped for the restart. Danny Ware came from 9th. He's had a pretty quiet night until now, but at the Simrat Market, Silverado ready and tacked up to go racing once again on the restart. Tom Bourne, what a night he's had in the FRN Toyota TRD Tundra. Looking really good, and I don't think he's going away anytime soon either.
I didn't even know he had the Biffle font. Maybe that's a note to Biffle being picked for top 75. But his truck was...
He ran the 16 as a throwback at the tail end of last year. Well, I think there's more to it, but certainly potentially part of that.
And he's had damage from the start. Didn't even make it to the line before getting the front end damage. 88's having internet issues, but he's still solidly in the top 5. He's been top 10 all race, looking solid.
Yeah, actually, a lot of drivers in the top 10 have not really changed all that much, despite the leaders having changed. And we're going to go back underway from Charlotte. Green flag back in the air. This time, Justin Michael, a pretty good launch. A little contact in the back of the field there. The 53 bounces off of somebody.
I think that was off of Slaughter. He actually doored Brad Slaughter, but that was Slaughter who came down the track, but they're all good now. 2x2 through the field. Justin Michael clear for the lead as a little bit of blocking with Ware and Shearer.
And look at the 51 to the inside of Danny Ware. Sneaks his truck down to the bottom of the racetrack. He wants into this mix, and he's coming for second.
Justin Michael's going to have to try to control both lanes. Who does he try to kind of work them, keep them side by side is probably in his best interest. That 51's looking racy, though. Shearer's looking solid, diving to the inside almost with a lead. Michael shuts it down.
Into turn 1, using the banking. Look at the 88 to the high side with a big run down the backstretch. He's coming with a vengeance as well.
Yeah, Garrett Grant got sideways off of 2 a little bit, and the 88's going to try to take advantage all the way up to the high line, entering turns number 3. And he's going to cut it down to the middle in turn 4, get the run on the 49 of Ware. He'll get his right rear down the front straightaway. I don't know, one's looking for some room, and there's still 2x2. Curhan and Beckner make that Irvin and Curhan side by side.
And for the lead, Scher's got the advantage for a moment. Michael throttles up on the outside. Dead even, though, as they head up onto the back straightaway.
It's definitely go time. I feel like this was when we started racing 2x2 in the Cup race, and we're starting to see that now 2x2 with the top 4, and then 5th place Tom Bourne, I think, just letting him do this and trying to hope his tires can be saved a little bit. That's if we go green.
It might seem silly to talk about track position because, of course, you want to be in front of everyone else, but you want to, again, they only are going to score you points-wise for finishing the race first, but getting yourself first on lap 59 could be really important if there's cautions that kind of click away laps towards the end of this thing. You're not going to have enough time to move forward if we get a lot of yellow flags. So put yourself up front early, be aggressive now. It will pay dividends later. And Scherer right now and Sogak really showing their stuff here as we approach the halfway point of this race.
3 wide in the back. Oh, in the wall. Who's that?
Sogak.
Sogak in the wall, trying to run the top. I also got the 3 wide in the back. Scioli's a part of that with Dean Thompson and Ricky Harden. There's still going to be 3 wide. No, Thompson's going to shut that door. Oh, Jacob Bell coming off the pit road. All good there, though, as the 7 is struggling to get by the 5.
Justin Munsell in that mix as well. And for third place, Anna Sogak and Ware are fighting. Tom Bourne is watching from 5th.
Your right front's somewhat damaged on that 88. Bigger hit than I thought, but not hurting him too much on the top as Tom Bourne's going to shove the 49, try to shove him by Anna Sogak here for that position and hope he can follow through as the top 2 are kind of putting a gap on Danny Ware as Cameron Hearn's battered truck comes out of pit road.
Down the back straightaway, truck in the wall, everybody scatters.
Bronson Stafford, maybe. I think that was him and Scioli might have came together.
Well, Curhan battling Ricky Harden right now for position. This is for 14th place.
Side by side, Curhan's just going to get back in line. Munsell, Dean Thompson! Oh, look out, Ard in the wall, look out! Oh, a lot of drivers going to be in this one.
Oh,
Greg
man,
Mitchell.
the 29 of Weishart.
Oh my gosh, that's the 2nd time. My goodness. Weishart's not going to be happy about that either. That was odd. End of a corner.
Wow. Go back and have a look at it. That was a big one.
Weishart calls it a total clown show. We'll see if we can classify it as that. Dean Thompson, Justin Munsell, side by side. A little bit of neck code. Definitely came together. Munsell can't save it. Scioli skirts by again, and then he comes down the track, and nowhere for the blinking Bronson Stafford to go. Greg Mitchell, and Weishart gets catapulted off the outside wall. Thought he was going to save it right here. Just couldn't.
And 61 was actually blinking when that scenario happened, and the 29 went for an absolute ride.
Now bring his night to an end. There's just nowhere for anyone to go. So unpredictable when the 6 shot up. And Weishart barely got clipped and probably ran into from behind. And just look at that catapult. A full flip before landing in the AstroTurf.
He was really the one that got the worst of it there. But more trucks, the 52 Carter Coop is in it. The 2 of Greg Mitchell in it as well, and really document his interaction in this. But he was kind of behind all this pack and can't see when all this is happening in front of you, and before it's too late, you're just in it.
I think the 97, Philip York actually went under Weishart. Look at his hard hit to the outside wall, and it just wedges him in there and sends him flying. But yes, Greg Mitchell had nowhere to go either. 97, another one he can't avoid. Looks like Jacob Bell might have had a part of that. Woo! Look out, Mr. Lee.
Oh, and then right there, Senesac
scraped him.
But another yellow flag slows the progress here just past halfway, and
had some takers on pit road too.
Leader
Justin Michael came in.
Yep, and it's going to split the strategy here a little bit. Justin Michael's in, and Sogak, Wineland, Irvin, Senesac, Hartman. I don't think that was Senesac, by the way. That was at the tail end of that last crash. Didn't get a good look.
No, it wasn't.
It was a different truck.
Looks so similar. It might have been Blaine Harrison, I think.
So past halfway, and looking a little different at the front than it did. What do you think about this pit strategy here? They probably are good to the end, if especially with a couple caution laps, get to give or take a few. But higher strategy-wise, think that's worth doing now, or would you have waited a little bit longer?
Tire strategy-wise, no. I don't think we've gone green enough for it to make a difference with these trucks yet. But definitely for fuel, I think that was definitely a fuel strategy move, because even James Scioli, I believe, came down the pit road as well, and he was already back there, so it made sense for him. But the guys at the front definitely thinking fuel. They can likely make it to the end here. Just under 60 laps to go. We'll see what can happen here if that works out. But we saw earlier when the leaders got trapped at the very back, Cameron Hearn, David Weishart, their nights went sour. So that could easily happen here.
Got Eric Wineland joining us now in the race car, running 17th right now. Eric, it's started with a big long green flag run, and then all hell has broken loose since. Getting pretty wild out there. How are things looking from your number 21?
Not too bad here, Kyle. Just, I mean, some guys you got to get what you can get on a restart, because as you saw on that first long green flag run, if you decide to really plan for a long run, it takes a while for that crossover point to happen for you. My teammate JT Poole went running, 10 cars ahead of me, and I was still mired in 20th. Managed to work to 16th before that first caution and pit road stop there. So if we can get settled back in here, Kyle, I think we'll be perfect. It's just a matter of getting settled back in for a potential long run here.
And in terms of the pit strategy here, we saw a pretty split strategy. How do you feel about pitting now versus the top 14 trucks or so that did not pit?
It's going to be interesting, Kyle. I'm going to leave that one at that.
Okay, Eric. We'll let you get going. Thanks so much for chatting with us, and good luck to you.
Appreciate it.
Right, so 21's back on pit lane. Connor, I wonder if that has something to do with him being cagey about telling us the strategy.
Definitely, I would say this puts us on the category of assuming that they are going to be very close on fuel if it goes green. Do I think it's going to go green? I won't be cagey about it, no.
No, yeah.
I don't think so.
I think there'll be plenty of yellow flag laps, so we'll see how it pans out. 1 to green here. Chair in the 51, Danny Ware in the 49, that it's Bourne, Elwood, Grant, the rest of the top 5. Beckner, Poole, Caston, Hardin, Curhan, your top 10.
Of course, Beckner's done it again from the back to the front.
Yeah,
he did it earlier this time.
Every time. I mean, Beckner, it's never really qualified super well, but push comes to shove. He has definitely got the race pace. You see it again here tonight, up to 6th.
Eric's complaining to the admins. You didn't move him back to his channel, Kyle. How dare you?
Oh, I thought I did. I put him back in the. I put him in the right one.
He said no. He said no. That was wrong. He's fired. Seriously, the attrition rate's picking up, and it's only going to pick up more. We have only 28 drivers left on the lead lap right now, and plenty more out. Charles Canita, Gary Waterworth, Swan. Hearn's actually still out there, but a number of drivers totaled right now.
Hold on. Eric, what channel do you need?
I need Solid Rock Performance,
okay,
please.
Sorry, we'll send you back. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we had to take care of that. Green flag back in the air. And away we go.
A little bit of a squirrely start for Danny Ware, as he will get clear for second regardless, however. Clean start at the front. Bourne and Elwood get close. The 10 starts to climb up the racetrack and up the timing sheet, or up the, I guess, the pylon, as well as look at the 42 on the bottom, sort of alone there, really no push.
Brad Slaughter Jr. popping out of line in 20th place, looking for some clean air on the nose. The 10 crosses over Elwood, looking for third now on Tom Bourne.
Got a good run at it. Bourne just does not have the pace down the straightaway, it seems. It's going to give Elwood the position to turn 1 pretty easily, as he'll get cleared. It makes 3 trucks clear at the front.
Ooh,
oh, not quite.
That was dicey.
Oh,
tried to shut the door.
Is that Dean Thompson again? No, that is Braden Goddard.
Again, in Vents turn 2. Caution back out. See what happened this time.
Pace truck is going to get a workout tonight. Looks like Goddard.
Oh, it was Dean Thompson.
Dean Thompson again.
That did slide up the racetrack, turned the 38 around. And
like tap from Carter Coop. And that was, I think the other one was a mistake. Dean Thompson sends it to the inside, also blinks.
Yeah, I wonder if
then
that
he hits the apron.
I guess that could have had a factor there, because could have seen the 38 blink and then kind of bail. But either way, mistake there for the 5.
Yeah, definitely a mistake, but it is easy to lose your bearings once you blink out like that. I don't really know what the rules are yet. I don't know if it's 2 strikes you're out or 3 strikes, but definitely
drive-through penalty, it sounds like, for the number 5.
It's starting to become a night to forget for Dean Thompson. Has been borderline top 20, as I guess it plays into the guys pitting for fuel. In fact, we have more pitting at the front for fuel. Garrett Grant and Hank Caston are really the only ones in the top 10 to come in that time.
So this is why, again, when we go back to the previous yellow, pitting, I don't dislike it. I just think you're going to get a lot of free time here to shut the engine off and coast. There'll be 50 laps to go next time by. And
well,
is Weiland back down? He is not.
No. it makes sense. He got to pit eventually. The guys, Shearer came down to pit road. The very first yellow was lap 41. So even with the yellows we're getting, I can't imagine he's going to be able to make it on fuel without pitting one more time. So why not do it now? I think it's more likely now that you can make it with more caution laps. And even if you have to save, you're way better off than the guys who haven't came back down, like Alan Elwood or Danny Ware.
We'll step aside for a moment and be back for the restart here from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Back live from Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Area Truck Series. Round 2 of the season from the 1.5 mile intermediate speedway so far. It has been an interesting night, as it always is here at Charlotte. Connor, let's go back and kind of relive some of the wild moments we've had tonight. Let's look back first at Charles Canita. He went for a wild ride here out of turn number 4, I believe.
Yeah, turn number 4, he goes side by side here with, I believe, the 97. They almost come together. In fact, they do right there. A little contact, but that's what the AstroTurf's there for. It doesn't tear up your race truck. He's able to save it and get back going. He still, I believe, runs right now. Actually, no, he was one of the first ones out of this race, unfortunately, but it wasn't for that.
Made it to lap number 40. Then we had this right as the pit cycle started. The 57 and 12 and 77 get tagged up. They go together, get involved in a collision. Had this wild moment for the race lead down the back straightaway between Justin Michael and the 42 of Garrett Grant. They almost come together. Jacob Bell on a later restart. This is a crash out of turn number 4.
But the 57 washes up high, gets scared of the wall, kind of comes down, slaps Bell into the inside of the 90, outside of a 97. Tinge comes through wildly, but Cameron Hearn was the second one of the night for him. He had nowhere to go. Calamity if you have a dog leg here.
Then up front, good battle here for the race lead, but then Calamity behind them. This time Dean Thomas and the number 5, the 6 get together. They end up in the wall and collecting more with them.
Dean Thompson at that. David Weishart is the one who gets flung like a bug coming off the windshield wiper, and he had nowhere to go, and his days went sour. And another one with Dean Thompson, our most recent caution, where he blinks out, loses his bearings, hits the apron, and right up into Braden Goddard, who had nothing he could do there. And that's where we stand now with just under 50 laps to go.
Well, lap 72 of 120 in the Area Truck Series, round number 2 here from Charlotte. Edward Shearer up front, Danny Ware alongside him, then Alan Elwood, Bourne, and Beckner, the rest of your top 5. Thanks for joining us here on Sim TV. Still lots of racing yet to come. It could be over in 25 minutes or so if we go green all the way to the end, but we'll see what dramas lie ahead. Lap 73, and green flag back in the air once more from Charlotte. Thompson loose at 5.
Oh, they're wrecking already. Cameron Hearn, Devin Schillingberg, Garrett Grant. They didn't even make it to turn 1 this time. Paul Irvin, caution out.
Again, this time the 42, who led a whole bunch of laps earlier, well, 5, but was up front for most of it, gets caught up, and the 4's night continues to get worse and worse. Back under yellow again this time.
Oh, Grant comes down into Irvin and sets that off. And yeah, Hearn had nowhere to go in that one. Wow, Irvin and Grant hit that that barrier hard. That was a slow start, but there's a truck there. That's kind of not right by Grant. Gotta make sure you're clear for that. There was a safer barrier, but wow, what a hard hit.
Yeah, and that's one of those moments when you got the spotter there, but for the couple moments after the restart, they might not be telling you about everything, so you have to be alert and know what's around you. And that certainly caused some issues for the 42 and for his teammate, which I think Cameron Hearn's going to throw in the towel at this point.
Yeah, we'll see. He's 10 laps down at least right now. Aiden Roberson's going to get the lucky dog. He's 10, or is he? I don't know if he's just passing, but if he is the lucky dog, nah, he's letting it by. He's 10 laps down. Can't be, as here comes the leader. No,
thought about it.
Here comes Tom Bourne. He wants to be safe on fuel, and you can definitely make it from here.
Yeah, and we're going to be looking at, what, 45 to go or something this time by, so yep, you're good to the end.
And it's just a matter of time before everyone else starts trickling down. Shearer, Elwood, Ware, they can't be up there forever.
No, and they're on lap 35 of this stint, so you have to wonder if this were to go green for another 30 laps after this, you're putting yourself in a pretty tight box, Connor. I would have hit pit lane, but I guess the other question is, if we continue to see yellow flags, why not just wait a little bit longer?
That's what I'm interested about. Even with these yellows, they'll have to go close to 80 laps on the tank. That's going to be tough to do. Lucky Dog looks like the 99, Carter Hayden. He's had a little bit of a rough night. He gets back to 1 lap down. We stay with only maybe 28 trucks on the lead lap. Paul Irvin might have extended repairs.
I think the 99 was 3 laps down at one point. So he has worked his way back to just 1 lap down and certainly putting himself in position to be back on the lead lap entirely.
You know who's cheering for him is Jacob Bell. He's 8 laps down. As soon as the 99's back, Jacob Bell can get some laps back.
The 99 truck, it's 1 lap back. And we're going to re-rack him and restack him and go again for another sprint towards the end here. But as we get closer to the end of this thing, Connor, the intensity level only picks up, but the momentum of this race has slowed way, way down. So how is that going to look? I mean, the desperation is going to pick up at the same time as the laps start to wind down, which is never a good combination.
Well, the guys who can be good on fuel, like Scioli or Slaughter, or even the guys who just pit, like Eric Wineland, the intensity is going to be really high for them, because if this keeps going yellow after yellow after yellow, A, those guys at the front might not be able to make it even with the yellows, and B, you got to get to the front regardless, because you got a little bit fresher tires and the fuel to make it, so you got to be the first one to the front before anyone else on your strategy can get to the front. So it's going to be very urgent for those guys as we get close to 40 laps to go on this next restart to start making up those positions. Scioli has not really made up any ground. He's still sitting at 16th place. A lot of drivers are still waiting to start to get to the front.
Checking on some drivers we haven't talked a lot about tonight. Philip York, the number 97, up to 10th place after starting 37th. What a climb for him. Logan Hartman, 41st, up to 17th.
Those are the type of things we saw last week at Daytona. Hard to do that at Charlotte, even with these yellows. It's still a bit difficult, so good for those guys. Those Philip York we saw with the incident with Kaneda in the very beginning, so really good recovery for him so far, as Paul Irvin is the latest driver to call it tonight.
Watch the rear suspension and watch the truck body move. You can see it kind of bounce on the bump stops there. I think that's a really cool example of iRacing's modeling. Now, as far as simulating things goes, iRacing, we all know, is pretty top of the pile, but in particular, their suspension modeling, I think, is some of the best in the business, and you saw it at work there. Really neat to see that in action.
I do think it's pretty cool. I always feel like I'm flipping when I'm doing that tire weaving stuff down the back straightaway. Feels like it, but thankfully I'm not. As we get 1 to green here, should be a restart with 43 to go.
Yeah, as far as iRacing's realism goes, you could talk about tires all day long till you're blue in the face, and there'll be lots of people that agree and lots of people that disagree that iRacing might be the best or the worst in the industry. But I think one thing that I have taken from iRacing into the real world is the way the suspension feels, the way the car moves on the track, not from the tire, but in the vertical axis in particular. Very convincing feedback there.
And you can only imagine that's part of the reason why we're starting to see more of the pro guys on the iRacing side really play a hand in some of how these teams set up. You heard the story from Circuit of the Americas, how Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin took kind of notes from former Coke Series champ Keegan Leahy, and actually he helped them a lot with setups and seeing what worked and what didn't for Circuit of the Americas, and a lot of that translated to the real race and led to a Tyler Reddick win. So it is pretty incredible how much of a better tool. iRacing was already a pretty solid tool as far as driving a track, but even some setup tricks being able to work from the virtual world to the real world, that is something.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, as I mentioned, comes down to the suspension geometry. Again, the tire is a wild card. It changes in the real world, it changes in the sim world, but the suspension, that's math, and it's not quite as misunderstood or unknown as tires are. It's pretty fascinating to watch that all come together. Lap 78 of 120, though. Laps winding down from Charlotte, back underway.
We get to turn 1. Ooh, who's that going to be inside? I think that was JT Poole who gets his way to the bottom. It is all clean so far. A little bit spread out from 6th on back as Elwood. That outside lane just not working on these restarts as Beckner's going to dive to the bottom to try to get by.
It's all about building momentum in the race, building speed back up, getting comfortability back in it. Big block from the 49, and simultaneously a dive for the lead, but JT Poole, if he had to lift, he saved Anywhere's night.
Yeah, that was pretty close to being kind of wild there as Dean Thompson comes in to serve his pass through, as he wasn't able to last time. Very close with Poole and Elwood side by side. Whoa. Contact. I think he hit Anywhere a little bit there, but they're getting away with it for now, and it's letting Edward Shear get a little bit of a gap.
Travis Beckner right behind, following Elwood through as he chases his teammate up into 3rd place. Beckner tries to cling to the quarter panel on the outside.
Oh, and a Sogak sideways in the back, but he's able to save it. Justin Michael gets by him. I think he's the first on this fuel strategy to get to the top 10. He's not many on the same strategy following him through yet. Brad Slaughter Jr., Scioli boxed in right now as the 87 starts to charge to the front.
Leader trying to run away, but not getting very far for 3rd place now. Beckner to the bottom. Continuing his climb from the tail of the field at the race start, has Elwood locked and loaded on the high side here. JT Poole drops into 5th place and now has to decide Beckner or Elwood to move forward.
It's going to be a hard one. I think just whoever's got the edge, you're going to push. One good thing for these guys, the leader's not going to be in clean air for a little longer. Dean Thompson came out maybe a second or two, maybe a second and a half in front of Edward Shear. We'll see if he can stay on the lead lap. I can imagine he's probably going to fight for it after starting his drive-through. And one thing I didn't notice is how much the attrition rate is.
Oh, in the goal, the 10.
Elwood and Beckner came together. Oh, they're wrecking again. Curhan just absolutely got piled into and thrown into that crash.
That was a big one, and that is night over for 2 of the trucks right at the front. It all happened so quickly.
Fazekas Motorsports has had a terrible, terrible night. That's another truck totaled, and we'll see what happened. I think it was Beckner. You could see it was high up the track. He definitely missed the bottom, and Elwood just slammed off the wall into him. And look at Curhan. I was at the 97 who I think hit Michael Curhan into him.
Yeah, there were some big hits in that one right here. The 28 on the bottom here. Slips. Yep. Up
look at
hill.
the bumping.
Yep.
Look at a truck bumping up and down, a slam into Elwood there, and hard into a wall, and it just shoots the 10 back down. JT Poole very fortunate to not get a piece of that as well.
And then while all this was happening, if we back up a couple of seconds and we jump on board with the 24, happening so quickly I can't find him on the timing and scoring screen. He's still currently 12th somehow, but he gets hooked here, right there.
And 97 came down trying to avoid Bryce Senesac.
And then it just turns into a really violent nose-on impact. Airborne there for a moment.
It is 2 trucks this week we've seen wheelie at the start-finish line.
Yeah, last night, one at the finish, it was the 9. Came across just dragging the diffuser, Nate Trito, and then this one right here, Curhan, up and over. They came across the stripe. Let's watch this at full speed as they skidded on by.
Another non-pretty one. Don't pay attention to the video board.
I think they made it to the start-finish line.
Oh, well, there's one. Yeah, they didn't even make it there. That was how hard of a hit that was. It just stopped them in their tracks right there. And what this did do is bring the leaders down and say, all right, I see where this is going. And they pretty much all came down. Shear, Ware, Poole, Ricky Harden, they all came down to get their fuel and make sure they make it to the end. Elwood's staying out, but I'm sure he'll pit. He's just trying to serve the meatball flag as late as possible. This puts Justin Michael back into the lead.
If he can lead a lap, that'd be a point he could
He did.
carry, but no, not yet.
Oh, it said first at the line last time. I suppose not, but there's definitely nothing he can do now.
No, but he's not going to lead it this time either.
Beckner was trying to claim net code, and the 10 politely told him to be quiet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a component of that, certainly, that made that accident probably worse than it would have been, but he still drifted up the track, made contact, and triggered that whole thing, and then there on out, you're just along for the ride. So how it goes sometimes.
It's the product of missing that blue and white line. It's so important to hit it properly. Brad Slaughter Jr., I think, just got lapped under yellow, which is unfortunate, as Alan Elwood does bow out of this race. But what this does, it really helps the guys who stay out, who pit for the fuel earlier. Search for Justin Michael, Bryce Senesac, James Scioli. It's big for them because their tires are not really, I can imagine, really used at all, while the other drivers at the front, they're not going to have as big of an advantage as the 787 did.
Yeah, so the last pit lap for Michael, Slaughter Jr., Senesac, and Scioli, which are the top four, basically lap 64. And Tom Bourne, lap 74. Carter Coop, Caston, and Wineland all pitted around 15 to 20 laps ago. First driver on fresh tires will be that 51, a share, restarting in 10th.
Yeah, I don't think it'll play a lot of a factor, though, especially if we don't go green, but I don't think they're going to have that big of a rubber advantage over the 87, 7 other guys like that. So we'll see if it works out. Still good track position. They don't drop back outside the top 15 like the guys at the front did, but definitely going to be a little bit of a bigger challenge. Scioli did not come through that unscathed either. He has some front end damage, but we saw how fast he was earlier. I can't imagine he doesn't still have that pace, but he's got to get the track position back, and this is a chance to get that back. Yeah,
so remember, he led 38 laps at the start of this race. Was coming down pit lane when that first caution happened. It has taken him until now to get back inside the top 5. So that just goes to show you how hard it is to dig yourself out of a hole. And he'll restart 4th despite some damage, and we'll see how he does, but it's taken him a long time to get back up here.
Yeah, he led the first part of this race, and it feels so long ago already that he was leading, and he was pretty much dominating. He had a second lead over Hernan Weishart, more drivers who had issues and couldn't survive. So it's taken him, a third of the race to get back up here, and now he's got to navigate the final third of this race to try to survive. And this is, we can imagine, unless we get a green flag stint, which we haven't gotten since the very first stint, you're likely not taking another set of tires, but you never know. We'll see here.
Coming back to the restart, lap 86 of 120, and whittling down to the last handful of laps. And you're right, we had a 38 lap or 40 lap run to start the day, and have not had more than about 15 laps green since. Pace truck pulls off. Justin Michael restarting where he started the race, out front in the lead. Brad Slaughter Jr. right up there in the mix as well. The 87 and the 8 on the bottom, and we're back underway, racing once more from Charlotte.
Good jump. That outside lane just really left in the dust on these restarts. Senesac, nothing he can do. Slaughter's going to get the second. Scioli should get the third. It's a scramble back there. Coop's in the wall. I think he's just letting everyone by. Oh, no, crash, spin, inside. Oh, Dean Thompson's around again. Caution's out. Hard slam this time.
Five truck around sideways. I think they're still crashing right now in turn 3.
Oh, that is Carter Coop and Danny Ware.
Danny Ware, yeah. So let's go back first, see what happened to the 5.
Full moon in Charlotte or something. It has been an odd 2 days. Someone slid before Dean Thompson. It might have been driver ahead, blue and white truck.
96 of Hartman there. 97 goes for a ride. Then actually the 5 just got hooked. Nothing he did wrong.
Oh, another hard hit. And then this was separate. Carter Coop and Danny Ware must have came together. They're avoiding Coop. Ware
Yep, the 88
Ricky
and
Harden.
Sogak, yep.
Like Ricky Harden was shooting a gap that maybe wasn't there. Ooh, Anna Sogak got in there late. But like I said, full moon or something. This is Charlotte is proving to be absolutely wild tonight. As Brad Slaughter Jr. Nope, more faking on the pit road. Unsurprisingly, not coming in.
Still working lap 88 of 120, and the pace has just been crawling since that lap 40 mark. And now what?
I think you're just at this point you're shipping the pit box back to wherever you're based out of. I can't imagine you're pitting again, even if we do get a small green flag run. We're gonna restart with under 30 laps to go now. Pace is slow. Tires aren't getting used other than maybe for 2 hot laps per run. Is there really a reason to pit at this point? I really don't think so.
No, I think this is your track position play, right? At this stage, you're going to stay out. As long as you can make it on fuel, you're going to stay out on the racetrack and just not lose positions. That's the goal.
And some drivers are still maybe on edge with that. Slaughter Jr., Scioli keep going to the apron a few times, but I feel like this should be good. They pit long ago and have had plenty of yellows, so we shouldn't really see any fuel issues at this point, but Slaughter does keep going to the apron. Not sure if that does anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does. I always do it. Can't be too sure. As Justin Michael, how about his day? He's definitely an up and down day. It went down from the very start with an odd initial start back to the 10th position, I believe he went, but he climbed all the way back up, and he's got the track position when it matters, that's for sure.
Other drivers we haven't mentioned a whole lot tonight. Shane Therian in the 83. It's been an interesting night for him. Started 20th, as high as 8th, as low as 29th. He has been all over the place, but settling into the top 10 late in the going here.
And remember back when we did fuel for the latest season, we had a lot to talk about with him. He was the fuel champ and very dominant that season. But a little bit of a maybe harder challenge in these trucks this season. Also in the Pro Series, he got into the playoffs and had some struggles last year in that Pro Series. But definitely a solid run tonight, and he somehow kept his nose out of trouble. I thought the attrition rate was high at Daytona last week. It's very high tonight, but he is one of the few clean trucks for now, knock on wood.
I was going to make the mention that we started this race with 41 trucks, and there are 21 that have spent more than a minute on pit lane repairing damage tonight. There are 23 in the lead lap, and 26th on down is more than 5 laps down.
Yeah, we can go through it. Kaneda was the first one out. Gary Waterworth brought out the first yellow. He was out. Ryan Swan's actually 39, 32 laps down, but he's still running. Got to get the points if you're trying to get in the points battle. Blaine Harrison's out. Munsell. Weishart's done, but he's still sitting at pit rate. Josh Taylor, Bronson Stafford, Greg Mitchell out of their trucks. Cameron Hearn finally called it a night not too long ago. Irvin is out 14 laps down, and that's just outside the top 30. You still have Aiden Roberson 10 laps down. Jacob Bell now 7. I think he did get a lucky dog. And then Beckner and Elwood, Curhan 6 down. It is, I don't even think it was this bad at Daytona. It is an absolute battlefield tonight out there.
That's saying something for sure. 4 up on pit lane. David Weishart, aforementioned truck. Ryan Swan, 39th. But he's got lots of trucks that are not that far ahead of him in laps down, so he's going to gain some spots if he can just make it through.
He could potentially get a top 30.
And he's 39th.
Laps down.
I mean,
and he's 30-plus laps down. That just shows how much attrition is played out. And unfortunately for the drivers, I really don't think we're done. Down to 23 drivers on the lead lap after all this. Dean Thompson's called a night as well, as we were talking about. So the 5's out, put another one behind the wall.
Yeah, basically everyone from 24th on back minus 3 that are still trucking through it are done for the night. That's almost half the field.
It definitely not what I expected at Charlotte. I know yesterday was Battlefield.
And it's not like there was a 24-car wreck that took them all out. I mean, there was 8, 9, 10 different wrecks that took them out at this stage.
Whether it's on a long run or on a restart, after 5 laps after restart, in the dog legs, out of turn 4, out of turn 2, we've seen them all. The only thing I've yet to see is someone fly out of the track in turn 3, because I always say it every time we come here, no catch fence out there. Eventually someone's going out of there. The way this is going, it's going to be tonight.
I am shocked, by the way. Of all the places, this place got multi-million-dollar revamps a couple of times, and I'm just surprised that it didn't.
It's too much.
It just seems like such a strange. It's not like it does it any good either. There's not like there's a spectator. I don't know. It's just very strange. Anyway,
Very weird.
30 laps to go here from Charlotte. Let's see if we can get a little bit more momentum back here in the field. And green flag. Everyone scatters.
And Caston didn't go. Bobby Tinch got some big damage out of that on the front end, but at least we all kept it straight there.
Caston's still stuck in the middle, 3 wide here.
Oh, Slaughter Jr. Scioli for second behind the race leader. They're kind of battling to see who can get by Justin Michael first.
Into turn 3, the 7 slots ahead of Brad Slaughter Jr. and behind Weiland to the outside of Tom Bourne.
It's going to be a big battle here with Michael and Scioli. I believe this is the race. I think if Scioli gets ahead, it's going to be hard to get back by him if you're Justin Michael. Excuse me, not Justin Michael. Yes, it was correct. I thought I got it wrong.
But a shifting and shuffling back to the 99 on the apron. Carter Hayden finally back in the lead lap after being trapped 3 laps down earlier. Back up into 21st place.
Ooh, JT Poole's looking 3 wide. He backs out of it under Tom Bourne and Edward Shearer Jr. Shearer, one of those guys who were the latest to pit for the fuel and tires. He's battling for the 6th position right now. But for the lead, Scioli is trying to keep with the 87.
Now, Justin Michael, again, really never got a chance to show the pace that we saw in qualifying. He's trying to do that now as the 51.
Oh, crash, turn 2. Up the track, Mason Kane, Dustin Scruggs. We keep it green for now. 2 really, really hard hits, but we stay straight and we stay green for now.
There's a racing gift from the gods there as the 16 now to the bottom. Continues his battle inside the top 10 here. Bryce Senesac, we haven't really seen a lot from him up front tonight, up into 5th place after starting 24th.
Yeah, really solid climb up so far on the outside. Wineland a little sideways on the paint, but Shearer, oh, really sideways out of 2. Shearer trying to run the top as well. Not much of a run there. 3 wide, JT Poole goes for it this time. Is there room? Tom Bourne backed out.
Yeah, that was smart racing there by Tom Bourne. Really smart racing, and he's going to watch these 2 get almost together out of 4, but now he goes to the high side. Great rebound here. Jump up in this mix.
It almost looks like the end of Daytona. Look at this, how small this pack has became. The top 8 are really the only ones in the battle right now. Then you got Ricky Hardin at 9th.
Running out of trucks.
Oh, look at JT Poole is getting aggressive. My goodness.
Who's going to back out this time, though?
No one. Go.
Wow, the 51 barely left enough room for that.
And they're still 3 wide. Oh, man, Poole doesn't have the run. JT wants to go, that's for sure. He's really the only one trying to race. I think everyone else is like, okay, can we go green, please? But meanwhile, at the front, 7's all over Justin Michael.
Yeah, Scioli trying to retake the lead. The first time when he passed the 87, it was easy. Michael almost gave it to him with that missed start opportunity. But the battle is on now for the lead.
I don't know what you do if you're Justin Michael. I assume I would want to protect the inside, but also I think the outside is very possible for a passing lane, but you can't really block up there because then it's going to become a guessing game of which lane Scioli's going to run, and you can't win that battle forever. Oh, that is Roberson very slow. Look out, Brad Slaughter Jr. You're going to see a lot more of that, I think, in the last 30 laps.
Pretty good job staying out of the way as the field filters by. Bourne, Senesac, 6th and 7th. And now you drop into line nose to tail. Without the chaos of the pack racing we saw earlier, Connor, how do you find that advantage in a truck where you're almost full throttle around the entire lap?
Just got to try different lines. Got to try bold moves, right? Like this. Scioli died, so the inside he had a run. Michael wasn't ready for it. He's going to pinch him down. It's kind of what you have to do at this point, but it's going to be hard to really keep up with the Pro Series champ Scioli. Where does Brad Slaughter Jr. go? If I was him, I'd want to keep the 987 ahead, but I don't think he's going to have a chance to help him. That 7 strong on the bottom, but washes up.
Scioli trying to get the lead away from Justin Michael as we close in on 20 laps to go. 2 laps from now. Scherer and Brad Slaughter Jr. fighting for 3rd. The 51's going to get it. He led some laps earlier, but so did the 7, and he wants it back.
Watch the lap traffic. Danny Ware is going to get behind out of a big block. Tom Bourne pushing Bryce Senesac all the way below the blue and white line, but they get away with it for now. 2x2 at the front. Michael getting shoved up the track. Not a good run out of 4, but he stays on the right rear. But Shearer Jr. is going to really hurt him here.
Scioli used up Michael that time through, and the 51 is going to follow the 7 to the bottom now. Can Michael throttle at mid-corner and keep the overlap? Scioli's clear, and he will slide up the hill just ahead of the 50, or the 87 rather.
I don't think there's anything he can do, but he's going to really block. The 87 fakes to the outside. No, he's going to try to go to the outside, but I don't think there's anything there. As the 7's so strong, center off, and you could see the 87 lose the nose there. Here comes Shearer for second, and he might even get that before we get into turn 1. But Scioli, after all this, 60 laps later, back to the front. Michael putting JT Poole in the AstroTurf.
He's getting freight trained on the bottom. The 51 has 18 lap fresher tires in Scioli, but how much is that going to matter when the majority of those laps were done under caution? Who knows how much that will be an advantage, but it's not a disadvantage. Behind them, the 15 of Ricky Harden goes to the inside of Senesac. He wants a spot, but can't get the overlap there.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty wild. I think the 15's got fresh tires as well, trying to find a place to go. He's even looking in the AstroTurf, and Senesac's going through it just to keep him from doing that. So I think Harden's on fresher stuff, has some left front damage from this run. Got to find go where there ain't, which he's doing right now on the top of Senesac. Be careful, keep some room, solid racing there. 15 should have to run into 3.
Scherer in the 51 behind the 7 of Scioli, and he is quicker right now. Last time by was the 10th quicker. And Scioli hold him off as far as the laps led. Scherer's led 19 to Scioli's 42.
It's going to be a lot. It looks like the tire difference is more than I thought. Oh, late look to the inside, but didn't go for it. 18 laps to hold off someone on fresher tires. That's going to be a tough one, but we'll see. Oh, we got a car in the barrels out of 4. Carter Hayden is stuck in the barrels. And no yellow. He's going to reset. We stay green. How did that happen? But at the front, still bumper to bumper as that happens.
Let's see what happened to Carter Hayden. He had rebounded so nicely from, he just gets hit from behind here, the 96.
Oh, yeah. A little bit of a bump. Trying to save it and just, oh, gosh. That is vicious.
That'll end his night after that rebound we just mentioned. 3-way run for the lead, 3-horse race for first place. JT Poole has been throwing that Ford F-150 into the corner, forces the 51 high. And now Scioli, that's the best thing he can see in the mirror is these two battling. But does that mean the 26 is faster? Both of them have 20 lap fresher tires in Scioli.
It's going to be tough, but like you said, I think the best thing here is that they are side by side, and JT Poole. But also, if JT Poole gets clear, it might be the worst thing Scioli can see, because that 26 is aggressive and he wants this one. He just slides right in front of the 51, blocking him, blocking to the apron again. The 51 gonna shove him into turn number 3. But Poole has that second spot solidly, as these top 3 have driven away Scioli, Poole, and Shearer. Justin Michael just doesn't have the tire to compete. I thought it would make a difference, but newer tires are clearly the winner here.
But by how much and for how long? We know that 20 laps under the yellow might be like, what, 5 laps under green? Not a ton of difference, but just enough that it is definitely an advantage for Poole and Scherer right now as they exit turn 2, 15 laps to go, and Scioli has got his rear bumper absolutely packed full of Ford F-150 and JT Poole.
I can guarantee you, Scioli's protecting the bottom down the back straightaway, even when JT Poole's not there. He will not give anyone the bottom by choice. He's going to make them go the long way around, but Poole is just so much better wrapping the bottom on these newer tires through 3 and 4. But like you said, Scioli is not going to give him that bottom. Big block there into turn number 1. Poole's going to try the long way around. He might even try to get a run out of 2 with a crossover. I don't think it's going to garner him much here.
Gains him a little bit, though. Look at the run he built.
He does have a run.
Down the backstretch. Looks high, looks low. Here he comes for the lead. The 26 of Poole is alongside James Scioli, and Scioli's up out of that bottom groove where he's been so strong all night.
Watch out for the 51. Scioli got his sort of ankles broken there. 51's going to give JT Poole a shove and leave Scioli in the dust on the top line. Here they come.
Scioli seeing the race disappear as JT Poole shuffles on by, and he's going to clear him. Not quite. So close out of turn 2, but not quite.
Well, this is going to be a different game for Scioli. He passed him he got the lead on the bottom. He's going to have to defend for it on the top. Look at him just absolutely pinching that 26 to the bottom through 3 and 4, but losing center off. But he does get side draft, has a better run out of 4. But it all comes down to where Edward Shearer Jr. wants to go here. He's going with the 7 in the turn 1 this time.
Scioli through 1 and 2. He's got to carry momentum here because the 26 almost cleared him, and this time he will.
Got him.
He'll slide up. Now does the 7 have anything to respond?
He's got to run here, but can he really take it? He's going to look to the bottom, try to fake him out. He'll go to the top. On the bumper, he might even hit him. He did hit him, bumped him up into turn number 3, but it still isn't enough to get the 26.
Oh, he's going to have him here. If he turns down, he's going to. Skioli crosses over Poole on exit, and now he's got overlap again. What a move there out of turn 4.
Oh, up and run at 1.5 miles. Didn't expect that, but it looks like the 51 just going with whoever's on the bottom as he stays bottom. But now it's JT Poole with fresher tires. Can he pinch down Skioli? He lifts. Skioli gets it back, coming to 10 to go this time.
What an epic battle for the lead. It's a 3-horse race for first place. Justin Michaels fourth and too far back. Coming to 10 laps to go. Skioli, Poole, and Scherer Jr. battling for the win here at Charlotte. The middle third of this race was an absolute disaster, but they have recovered for a 20-lap run. Can they make it 30, make it 10 more laps to the checkered flag?
It looks like Poole might have wore his stuff off. We know how aggressive he was early on, and he can't keep with Skioli after all this. And it's side by side for second. And look at the gap Scioli's already breaking out now that he regained control.
Yeah, the 51 knows that if he's going to battle this 7 again, he's got to complete this pass, but he cannot. And JT Poole slots back into line. Did he overheat his stuff here, Connor? 10 laps. Remember how long it took JT to complete that pass? He's going to have to set it all back up again.
And that's if he can. He might need to hope the 51 just pushes him back up there. They have a run. They get back to the rear bumper of Skioli, close to it in the turn number 1 and 2. Oh, Skioli hit the apron. That's really going to hurt his run. Look at the 26.
On to the backstretch. 9 laps to go. And here comes the 26 of JT Poole again. Looks high. And he's going to stay in line this time. Doesn't do that dive to the inside we've been watching him do.
It wasn't close enough for it either, but I think he had to get back in a rhythm. He lost his rhythm after he got past, so surprisingly to him, a little bit better on the bottom through 3 and 4. Gets the draft, the run in the draft down the straightaways, but he's not getting close enough to really have any sort of dive.
Oh, JT Poole.
Apron.
Yeah, just nibbled it with the left front tire. He had to lift.
Oh, big lift. And here comes Scherer Jr. He's going to take advantage. That could be the race. That is what Skioli loves to see.
3/10 is what it gained him. But the 51 now clear. Oh, he drove in there hard to make sure he cleared the 26. He's going to give it back. And this is absolute happy birthday material for Skioli to watch these two battling door to door.
Yeah, this might be all he needs. I don't even know if one driver gets clear in the next lap, if they're going to have enough time to really mount any sort of charge for the 7 truck. He's going to slot in. Scherer does right to the bumper. Even going to give him a tap down the back straightaway. Contact. Blocking, weaving. Got to be careful. Scherer says on the radio he's trying to help, and I agree with that. They kind of have to catch back up.
4/10 is the gap. Skioli has been dominant the first and latter thirds of this race. He's led 51. Needs to lead 6 more here from Charlotte. 4.5 is the gap into turn 1. It's closing a little bit through the first quarter of the lap or so.
Yeah, even side by side in the 1 and 2 last time by, JT Poole himself gained. Scherer really lost the nose there, so JT needs as much of a push as he can get, but he might not have anything. He might have to do this solo for the last 5 laps.
Not a lot of gain this time through. Skioli is on the line. While all this is happening, a little bit of fighting happening deeper in the field. Brad Slaughter Jr., Tom Bourne, also single file for the moment.
And Skioli pulled away that time, but I think the tires you can see are starting to even out because Scheer's losing touch with the top 2. Justin Michaels actually closing back in.
Lap traffic to contend with. Skioli goes to the bottom, and a Sogak on the outside here. The gap has not changed and has not shrunk. 4 laps to go for Skioli, and the gap is now half a second.
Oh, look out, look out. Oh, Philip York really slow in the racing line. And then Sogak just stuck behind him. What in the world happened to the 97?
Is he stopping?
Wait, I don't... Is he...
What's going on there?
This is going to be a yellow. I don't think so. He's off track, thankfully, but that could have been much, much worse.
I wonder if the engine let go or something, because he just stopped drive and bailed out of the way. But JT Poole closed a 0.5 that time, but he's going to run out of time here. 3 laps to go from Charlotte.
Another lap truck out of the way. Dustin Scruggs gives way in 18th place. Scherer has dropped completely back, so it's just JT Poole for himself as the entire truck field is spread out. It's going to end up being our 2nd longest run of the night. Poole, I don't think he's close enough to drafting as Skioli tries to break as little draft as there is. Poole gained a 10th last time by, but at this point he needs more.
Scioli absolutely drove the wheels off this truck. Needs to hold on for 3 more miles. There's still some traffic on the horizon, Connor, but there's a lot of traffic on the horizon, but he might not catch them before this is over.
Oh, look, JT Pool's going to switch his lineup. He's going to see if he can gain anything on the top. I understand it. Got to try something different. You're not going to beat him just running his line. Gets the run down the back straightaway, but really not enough. They're side by side for 4th, Wineland and Michael.
Wineland is going to, what a great late race charge for the 21. As they battle, white flag waves, 1 lap to go for Scioli. Wineland clears Justin Michael, who tries to cross him back over into turn 1, but won't get there. James Scioli led the first portion of this race, the first 38 laps, came down to pit lane, lap number 39, to get service put in his truck, thought the race was going to go green. Yellow flag after yellow flag after yellow flag trapped him at the tail of the field. He resurges late, battling the 26 of JT Pool, the 51 of Everett Sherrod Jr. James Scioli and the number 7 Rick's Hot Sauce Silverado wins at Charlotte in a late race charge and battle with the 26.
A late race recharge. I thought it was over once he got past, but he had a plan the entire way. Great recovery after losing the lead late to get it back. Pool, Shearer, Wineland, Justin Michael, the top 5. Bourne, Slaughter, Caston, Ricky Hard, and Shane Therian, the top 10 as the fireworks fly for the 2nd time this week. And this time it's for then the leader's been crashed. Oh, unfortunate. But
I think those are just celebratory bumps that got a little out of hand.
Oh, yes, of course. But the South Beach Heat Chevy Silverado goes to victory lane once again as the fireworks fly now, but they sure flew the rest of this race as well.
Well, last week he was 1 spot short. This week he will get it done, lock himself into the playoffs, and he outlasted. He was behind a whole bunch of that carnage, Connor, and he made it through, made good decisions all night long. And he's going to come out of turn 4 on the cool down lap and celebrate with a burnout here at Charlotte.
And not a lot of other drivers who were in the same boat were not as lucky or as fortunate as him, but Scioli did what he needed to do, drove through it, played strategy right, got track position right when it mattered, and right when we finally, I'd say, ran out of trucks to have crashes, he finally got to the front and he got past, but he persevered and then never looked back after he got the lead back for the final time, close to 10 laps to go.
It all came down to timing, right? Be in the right place at the right time. This is a pattern that we've seen, Connor, where you get a nice green flag run to start things, the cautions start to fly, and then once things clear out, there's going to be a long run at some point, even if it doesn't end the race. But Scioli put himself right place, right time, and won here at Charlotte. Let's have a look at our race results here and wrap things up from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Here's a look. James Scioli, JT Pool, valiant effort there by the 26. Edward Sherrod Jr., 51, great effort there. And Eric Wineland, P4 in the 21, excellent surge late. Justin Michael Polsitter finishes 5th, Connor.
Yeah, he had a solid chance at it, but just didn't have the tires at the very end. Hit a little bit too early. Scioli was able to make it work, however. Tom Bourne, damaged from the very start. He stays 6th. He was really one of a few drivers tonight who really stuck in the top 5, top 10 the entire night. Brett Slaughter Jr. covers for 7th. Hank Caston out there. He had a really underrated run. Didn't talk about him too much, but solid run. Then Ricky Hard and Shane Therian rounded out the top 10.
And 11 through 20. Bryce Senesac, Dylan Lee, he was laps down at one point, rebounded for a 12th. That 54 truck of Bobby Tinch was basically set up to impact the inside wall at one point. 13th place for him. Schillingberg, Hartman, top 15. Garrett Grant, we saw that big crash, still wound up 16th after all that. And a Sogak, 19th. Danny Ware, 20th.
And there's even an attrition factor in there as well. I'll say the others. Look at Ryan Swan. He got up to 26th. It was 39th, was he not?
Yep.
25 laps down, he got all the way up to 26th. That is
unbelievable. And he did that in 25 laps because that's the span of which all the carnage happened.
Oh yeah, it played out perfectly for him. And hey, if he makes the playoffs by a few points, you got to look back to tonight for that. Jacob Bell, 22nd. Philip York was 21st as well. A lot of drivers, including David Weishart, who in the 21st to 30th category just had nights go sour, as well as Travis Beckner in 32nd.
Yeah, bad night for Beckner despite having a good run. Got caught up in a crash. Paul Irvin in a crash as well. Cameron Hearn, bad luck continues. Same with Bronson Stafford. Justin Munsell torn up in a turn 1 collision. Gary Waterworth we saw involved in that first caution of the night that tripped off the next handful of moments that designated the rest of the event. Let's talk with our 3rd place finisher, Edward Sherrod Jr., driver the number 51, brings it home into 3rd place. Ed, tonight was a wild one. You were battling up front. You led some laps tonight. probably couldn't ask for too much more other than maybe 2 spots better on the finishing order. Take us through your night.
Yeah, it was kind of stressful from the beginning. I mean, I kind of screwed up my qualifying efforts there at the beginning. I didn't like starting in the back. I'm usually never a good qualifier, especially on the ovals and trucks, so it's kind of expected of me to start mid-pack and then drive my way through the field, but I had really confident pace in myself to drive through the field, and luckily I was able to do that before that first caution came out through that first cycle of pit stops. But once we got usually in that top 10, I felt comfortable whether to either get to the front or not. And as you guys saw, I was in the lead for a little bit there, and I thought I made the right call coming in late, and unfortunately James had a better idea than I did, staying out the old tires. It's just how the dirty air works here. It's just not the greatest of friends for me, so it was just hard for me and JT to get around him, but overall it was just a great race, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, because that was probably the most fun I had in a little bit. So yeah,
those last 30 laps certainly redeeming in many, many ways. Tonight, the battling up towards the front got pretty dicey there a couple of times. You and JT looked like you were battling, but you came on the radio and said, let's work together, let's try to run down the 7, but despite that, still couldn't get there.
No, yeah, I just knew if we fought too much, James was going to get out to a bigger lead than anything, because both of us fighting would help him pull away. And I was just like telling GT, I'm like, we got to just try to work together if we want to have another chance at him. And JT and me had good shots at James. It's just at bottom, especially running against old tires on the top, it's just you really can't get the throttle down fast enough to complete the pass. And it was rough, especially with how strong of a truck James had. So unfortunately, we couldn't get the win there. I was hoping to get the first win for Hartman Koopa Racing, but hopefully we'll have another chance at it coming in the next coming weeks.
All right, 51P3, thanks so much for chatting with us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. JT Poole comes home in second place by 0.6 of a second. Gave it all you had there in that battle with the 7, JT. Take us through that last run to the end. It was a fun one for sure.
Yeah, copy on the fun one. That was a lot of good racing with James and Edward. We might have had something with James, but I clipped the apron and we just lost time. I probably should have just started pushing Edward, but I got a little selfish and passed him back, and then finally realized, like, hey, we need to work together if we want a shot. But James did a really good job to stay up front. I just wish I had maybe a couple more laps and I didn't make that mistake, but that was a really, really fun finish there.
Take me through that middle portion of the race. A lot of yellow flags kind of slowed the momentum of the race down, and we've seen the pattern in the past where you know that there's going to be another long run somewhere, and it's just a matter of timing it so that you pit just right and pit right before that long run. What kind of swayed your decisions to pit when you did and set yourself up for that last run?
I mean, track position's so important here. It's very hard to pass. So we got a caution, I think maybe 15 laps after that first pit, and I stayed out. And I don't know, maybe half the field was split, and we stayed out as long as we could. Then when we finally had to come down to make it to the end on fuel, took tires, and then stayed out the rest of the run. So track position is just so important.
Fun run to watch, though, JT. Congratulations. P2, good points night for you in the number 26 Ford F-150. We'll see you next time. Thanks for chatting.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And thank you to a Sunny South Raceway, Go Slow Racing, all of our supporters. I know I got a couple people watching, so thank you guys. Thank Area for putting this league on, and thank you guys for broadcasting.
As always, thanks, JT. We'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.
James Scioli gets it done here at Charlotte, outlasts the carnage and chaos behind the middle third of the race, but the first and last third were yours, James. Led 38 laps early, kind of got the caution at the very wrong time there. Rebounded in the late stages, battling JT Poole and Edward Scherer. Take us through your night. It was up and down, to say the least.
Yeah, it was a lot of down, that's for sure, in the middle. I want to thank Brad for keeping us all calm there. That caution came out at the worst possible time, just right before I could make a move and get off the pits there. So I didn't really think that I was going to have a chance, and decided to stay out on the end there on old tires, just hoping that I could get clean air and just kind of use the air to block everybody. And that's exactly what happened. I really didn't think I was going to be able to do it. And once I lost the lead, I didn't think there was any chance that I was going to get it back. I thought that I was just going to plow in the dirty air, and I might have made a little bit of contact with JT. I couldn't quite tell from in the car, but either way, he moved up just enough on the exit of 4 and put me on the bottom, which is right where I wanted to be for 1 and 2. The top just didn't have anything, so then I was just able to get by, and I think that the air, I just got a big thanks to the air for letting me get that win.
It was a fun one to watch there, James. The momentum picked back up there at the tail end of the race. How relieving was that after that middle portion? That seemed like it took forever.
Yeah, it was super nice. Just a lot of crashes at the back of the pack in the middle, which, I mean, you're going to get, and can't really be too mad about it. But just glad that we were able to have a green flag run to the end. I didn't really think when the run started, I didn't really think that I wanted it to go green. The fuel was tight, so I didn't know if I had enough fuel first, and then I just didn't think that I was going to be able to hold those guys off on tires. And then eventually, I was just praying that no caution came out and that I could just keep the track position. I didn't want to have to try and make any more strategy calls. I think all my luck has run out after tonight for sure. So just glad it all worked out.
Well, maybe ran out of luck, but got a win in the W column now. Congratulations, James. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you guys. Big thanks to you guys in the broadcast, all the admins and everything. And big thanks to Rick's Hot Sauce, Code Skyoli, get you $7 off. Glad to have them on the truck this year. They've always been on the Xfinity car, but glad to kind of expand that partnership. And then Dandles Candles, Butt Kicker, Chris Sports Cards, and Matco Tools. Big thanks to Bobby and Matco Tools. So we'll try and get them next week.
Thanks, James. We'll see you.
Thanks, guys.
Kind of wrapping things up here from Charlotte. First and last third, exceptional. Middle third, not so much. But James Skylerly, JT Poole, and Edward Scherer put on an excellent display of clean, fair racing at the front there. It was a joy to watch.
I was going to split it in the quarters, but yes, I think thirds is actually better. We had 40 laps really clean and green and really solid racing all around. Then one yellow, as we saw in the cup race a little bit, just kind of, it spiraled from there. Multiple yellows that really slowed the pace down it took until lap 90 with 30 laps to go where we saw things pick up, and Skyoli just really pit at the right time and had the track position when needed it. We talked about it when he was doing his burnouts, his deserving burnouts at that. He got the track position and the timing was just right where he was able to get the lead back and keep the track position and battle for the win up there with JT Poole, Edward Scherer Jr., two guys who started at the back who needed those runs to start the year as well. So a lot of good, another thing to take away, a lot of good runs for a lot of drivers who need some good runs this year. But at the end of the day, the Pro Series champion takes it tonight.
James Skylerly wins at Charlotte. We'll see you Thursday for the Area Pro Series. Again, from Charlotte Motor Speedway, Kyle Heyer, Connor Horn from SimTV. See you then.